What's up, fight fans? We are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am always your host, Edwin, where the fights all start. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to break down here. Is it too late for the fans with Tio? Have they had enough of his mouth? Can he win the support back from the fans? And what's this mean about Eddie Reynoso not even starting with Tio in training camp? All that and more. Naoya Inoue. We're gonna break down all these fights. So stay tuned with us. Give the videos a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Let's go. Well, guys, how you guys doing out there? Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Lakeside Frontline in the building. How you doing, my man? Listen, I'm just getting out of witness protection program. You know what I'm saying? I just signed out. You know what I mean? They let me out. Yo, what's up, fam? How you doing, man? We got a lot to talk about, a lot to catch up with here. Um, you know, we had a lot of fights go down. Berlanga fought. We could talk about a little bit about his future. And this Tio situation is getting really interesting, because you can take Tio's situation and you can view it many, many different ways. A lot of people are saying that Eddie Reynosa and Saul Canelo Alvarez camp might have opted out from doing without all of Tio Fima Lopez's antics. Everything that comes and all the distractions that comes with Teofimo Lopez, and whether or not he was going to accept that into his resume there. He's right now, he's training a lot of fighters right now, Eddie. And he's got Saul coming up, he's got Ryan again. He's got his hands full right now. And I didn't know where Tio was gonna fit in. So he probably didn't want to fill his plate. On one hand, you can view this and you can just say that Eddie was being honest. Tio, I really don't have time to train you properly for this fight against Arnold Barboza, right? Or you can view it that, he just didn't want to accept Tio into his boxing gym with all Tio's antics and everything that comes with Tio, and Tio as a fighter, as of late, he's been all over, like, social media and stuff. And, there's a few fighters that spoke up against Tio, like they were real blunt about what they would do to him or how they took what he said in. And then there were other boxers that I believe that really understood the situation. One of the boxers that I heard speak up against what Tio is doing is Shakur Stevenson. He was on a podcast show with Shannon Sharp, I think it was. No, I don't think it was Shannon Sharp. I'm sorry. It was somebody else. He was on a podcast with somebody else. He was sitting in two chairs. That's the one, right? And Shakur, I think, broke it down the best of what Tio is doing. Shakur was like, listen, I grew up around Tio. We was in and out of like amateur events. Tio's not a racist, but he's using racism to get clicks, likes, and views. You're corny, Tio. You know exactly what you're doing. I know that you're not a racist dude. You know what I'm saying? Shakur's like, yo, we've been around Tio, practically his whole life on in and out of tournaments and stuff. And everybody know Tio. We know he ain't like that. But if you're going to play this game, then you got to wear the fucking badge, homeboy. And like, Tio has been doing like certain things. Got a little video dancing with some chick and shit. It's pretty cool, but all the dancing And everything you say out your mouth, I don't think is going to change anything. It doesn't seem like it is in the fans' eyes. What can Tio do to turn things around, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, well, if he goes out there and he knocks out Arnold Barboza, like straight knocks out Arnold Barboza, you could pretty much say that could start Tio, and he needs to shut his fucking mouth. Just shut it. We don't even want to hear nothing from you. Just go in there and box. Because it seems like everybody got something to say about what they feel about Teofimo Lopez. And now you got like people trying to put their hands on his dad and everything. And the situation is not getting any better, Tio. And you keep playing with these people, making videos, eating bananas type shit, knowing you were just coming off. So, Tio, you doing this because you a spiteful dude. You're ignorant. And you like to be petty. And Tio, bro, listen, just like Devin Haney, you guys are fighting the wrong fight. You guys are fighting the public's perception of you. When we never watched you because you were cool or what you said, we watched you because of the skills and the fights you gave us in the ring. I don't want to hear your mouth no more, Tio. I heard enough. And now Eddie Reynoso don't even want to fuck with you. And it's like, it's sending a bad look. It could be what it is. I could be right. You could be right. Eddie could be like, yo, I'm not messing with this dude, bro. Him and all his distractions. I'm pushing away from you, Tio. That very well could be the case. Or it could be just he was honest. Eddie said, listen, I got too much on my plate right now. I got to get my best fighter ready for May. I'm days away from your fight. I got to get Saul ready to get that IBF back from William Skull in a unification fight for Undisputed. You think I'm going to push Saul's schedule back for you, Tio? Then other people were like, could Eddie Reynoso, once training camp, teach Tio how to cut off the ring? Yeah. Yeah, you can do that in one training camp. Sure can. That's easy. Cutting off the ring is basically understanding several steps and movements and when to cut it off. It's like a dance, a waltz. You mean to tell me you can't learn that in 3 months? It's not something that like fighting. Like fighting has to come instinctively, right? Until the day, right? I went from thinking about how to beat up a person to just doing it. Did I not realize the difference in the levels of fighting? It was just like he threw the punch. I'm here, boom, bang, and I didn't have to think about it. I just reacted. My training kicks in. All them hours of repetition, you just do it. You just know what to do. And there was a point when I was fighting where I was thinking about fighting, thinking about punching him. I'm trying to get in closer. I'm trying to swing, boom, boom. I'm thinking, that's different than teaching a man basic maneuvers on cutting the ring. It's a step here, it's a step there, it's pressure here. It's pinning him against the ropes. Yeah. Any great coach can teach Tio that in one training camp. Yeah. Can Tio remember it? Yes. Yes. It's not like when you hit the guy, he diverts right back to the old fighter. It's not one of those situations when it comes to cutting off the ring. That's totally different. The problem with Tio's father, he wants, and number two, and not the main coach. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like one of those type things. You think? Let me throw your messages up here. Let me put that down. Let me hide that. What's up, Lloyd? He can't cut off the ring worth shit. Teal, yeah. And that was one of the like the things. That's what I'm talking about, Lloyd. You know, like that. You right. He can't, but could a coach like Eddie Reynosa teach him that in one training camp? Sure, sure. I mean, he might not become the greatest ring cutter in history in one training camp, but he'll know enough. He'll know enough. But that's when you're. By the way, that's when you're coming up against a guy that moves. Arnold Barboza is not that. Arnold Barboza is a come forward, 1-2 straight down the pike, strong jab, um, work around the guard, body shot fighter. Arnold Barboza is, he relies on hard punches. He has pretty good technique. He just doesn't throw enough punches in exchanges for me. Arnold Barboza. Meaning when he decides to fire a fight, like sit down on the front foot, he'll throw him. He'll throw him, right? Boom, 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 boom. He'll throw him, right? I mean, in the exchanges is when, like, let's say Tio's pressuring him, right? And it's one of those moments. It's like a real spontaneous moment, right? You're coming off the ropes, and you think that Tio's relaxing. All of a sudden, he comes at you like with a burst, boom, boom, 1-2, and then they kind of like go to tie up like this. He doesn't swing good out of that. He ain't Arnold Barboza. He's I can see in fights where he tries to conserve his energy a little bit. Um, or is it that he's being more calculated? Arnold. Uh, this is gonna be a tough fight for Tio, but I keep telling you guys. Um, I think that Teofimo Lopez is pretty smart when it comes to fighting. I think he's pretty smart. Any fighter can get caught. Arnold can catch Tio. Tio can catch Arnold. Will Tio knock out Arnold Barboza? I don't know about that. Will he be able to win over the fans with this fight right here? I think that Tio does have a good opponent in front of him right now. I thought on that card, to be honest with you guys, I thought Devin Haney had the tougher of the fights. I'm starting to lean more towards the Tio and the Arnold fight. Um, and then Turkey Al Sheikh coming out and showing interest in Shakur Stevenson versus Gary Antoine Russell, right? And like, what's the possibility of a fight like that taking place? He named off a couple more fights, and when he said that, right, and that was like a rumored fight, Shakur Stevenson versus Gary Antoine Russell. That put me in a funny place in boxing, man, this morning. It really did. I sat back in my chair and I started to notice something. I said to myself, because I was hearing some guys talk about it. They were saying, yo, Gary Antoine Russell's gonna bust Shakur Stevenson's ass. I don't see where he's gonna you know, give Shakur any room to breathe and do all that boxing shit. Gary Antoine Gary Antoine Russell's uh, pressure is gonna be too much for Shakur. And the other guy said, well, no, Shakur got better footwork. He's just gonna pepper um, Gary Antoine Russell. Gary Antoine Russell is going to be frustrated. Shakur is going to be working around his guard. He's going to be sticking and moving light on his feet. Gary ain't going to get close to him. So I was hearing both sides of the argument. And it seemed like both gentlemen were on the agreement that this would be the best fight for both men. And that's what fucked me up. That was a reality check right there. I was like, hold up. Wait a whoa, whoa. If Gary Antoine Russell is considered to be the best opponent Shakur Stevenson would have ever fought, they've never even fought yet. But if they were to fight in the public's eyes, you mean to tell me that Gary Antoine Russell would be Shakur Stevenson's toughest opponent? That doesn't wake up, that doesn't smack you guys in the face? This whole time we're saying Shakur's the best. He looks like this against this guy. He's the best. He can beat him. He can beat him. But when reality smacks you in the face, you just take a step back to think about it. Brother, Gary Antoine Russell was never a world champion until just recently that he defeated Jose Valenzuela. Gary Antoine Russell in his first title fight got his ass whooped by Puello. Beat the brakes off that. He taught him a boxing lesson. He put on a boxing clinic against Gary Antoine Russell. So where's all this forward pressure, not letting the boxer breathe shit? The boxer was just breathing just fine. I think Gary Antoine Russell was the one running. He wasn't running in the fight, but he wasn't running up the numbers and the punches. No, he wasn't. He got schooled. And then I'm sitting here hearing these two gentlemen talk, and I'm saying to myself, damn, you guys are right. He would be the best fighter he ever fought. And who the hell is Gary Antoine Russell in boxing? Besides their name, besides they're a staple in the boxing community, besides their dad and the brothers and everything that they give to boxing, I'm not saying anything about that. I'm saying as a boxing career, what have you done in your career? Who have you fought that will, a lot of people say, oh, who Devin Haney? Well, he fought Loma, right? Who Ryan Garcia fight? Shit, he fought Tank Davis. Ryan Garcia fought Devin Haney. He could say that. What can you guys say? Where's these lists? Let me see your record, damn it. So if that's the best fighter, people would say Shakur Stevenson is. I was sitting there this morning. I was kind of in awe. And I was saying to myself, damn, man, I really thought with all this talent we have today, we would have had a real good era in boxing. Instead, we got a bunch of divas, a bunch of promoter guys trying to capitalize on some rich dude that came out of left field with all this money. It wasn't, boxing's been fucked up before Turkey, so it wasn't really his fault. He kind of saving the day in a way. And all this goddamn talent, bro. And none of these dudes fought each other. None of these dudes fought each other, man. We can't look back in this era in boxing and brag about the Four Horsemen. Shit, our Four Horsemen era is trash compared to the original. When you do something once and you want to live up to that name, if you're gonna claim that your fight is better than Marvelous Hagler 1 round, well, then you better go out there and give that kind of performance. You can't just say so. You can't say that this era of the Four Horsemen was better than the old era. It doesn't even come close. I can't believe how much talent we have today. And none of these guys is fighting each other. Just a bunch of pissing contests, crybabies. Just all everybody wants the bag. Everybody wants to try to get one over on each other all the time, it seems like. And if the money ain't right or you ain't paying me heavily for fighting tomato cans, Teofimo Lopez, well, then I'm threatening to walk away. Is that where we came in boxing? Is that where we're at? Bunch of fucking pussies, bro. Oh, everybody's scared to lose. I don't want to fight you because I don't want to lose my oh yeah on a microphone. Yeah, I'll fight you. I'll fight you. Here's the contract. Hell no. How can I sit here and say that Shakur Stevenson is better than any of these other guys? Where reality smacked me in the face and showed me maybe you're not. Maybe you're another dressed up Tank Davis. How about that, Shakur? Who are you fighting? Who are you going to fight? Not sure, man. And even if Shakur Stevenson was to beat Gary Antoine Russell, okay, let's say he was to move up in weight. Let's say hypothetically in a crazy world that fight happens, right? Shakur moves up, fights Gary 140 for that WBA championship, and he beats him. I mean, as far as credentials go, that would be up one for Shakur. Obviously, he went up another weight division. That's a real world title that Russell kid got. That's a real belt. So he would become, I believe, a 4 division world champion. Shakur, isn't he a 3 right now? Shakur Stevenson, something like that, or a 2. I gotta look him up again, and that would obviously catapult him. But as far as your resume and the men you fought, Gary Antoine Russell would be coming up against what would it be? His first title defense. So he never successfully defended the title at that point. He would be fighting Shakur all the way up until that point. His toughest opponent, Gary Antoine Russell, Puello, he lost to. Anything higher in competition, he beat Jose Valenzuela, that was defending his belt from the first time from jumping up from a smaller weight division as well. Never really testing himself against the top 140 pounders in the world. And then Jose Valenzuela got destroyed by Edwin, right? De Los Santos. So when you go to look back in history, the guys you fought, it's sometimes better to know that you fought sometimes a former world champion or somebody that did something. Not fighting guys that are coming up on their first division, their first world title defense. The biggest fight they fought against, they lost. And then that's who they're saying would be your biggest fight. Hot damn. What am I missing here? Truthfully, what am I missing? How the hell is Shakur revered that great? How are we revering Tank? How are we revering? Yo, are we that blind? Has boxing taken us down that road so much that we're debating headlines? We're debating, what we feel for the fighter, that we're losing track of who they're fighting. And I don't think it's so much that, because you could hear the fans with Tank. They're tired of that shit. You could hear it all over social media. That's the one thing. Tank, you need to fight some of these dudes, Tank. Tank, you need to, yo, Tank. Like, people are catching on, right? But what I mean is, did we enable these fighters to get us where we're at right now? Is it partially to blame on us as fans? Weren't we the ones that showed up, paid for the fights? Yeah. And it was a good thing at the time too. We was coming out of that corona thing, man. We was all stuck up in the house. Tank gave us some knockouts. We was happy. We just wanted to be out the house, I guess, huh? And it went on for like that for a few years. And a lot of fans and we're just watching these guys go. And all of a sudden we're starting. It's so easy nowadays. You're the GOAT. You're the best. Hey, champ. You ever hear him call a guy champ? He ain't never won a world title. Hey, champ. Champ? Did he win a belt? No. Why do you just champ in life? Wow, you guys just lower the bar for the word champion, huh? What it means to be a champion? Just gonna bring that down, right? That's cool. That's cool, right? Everything. We lower the bar to get in our best fighters, our favorite fighters in conversations. They don't belong. We start naming off different stats and shit that are meaningless just to lower the bar to get your fighter in the conversation. We're starting to be like all the other sports. Where, like in basketball, right? You can come out like on fire for 3 months and all of a sudden you're the like baby GOAT. You could score a couple touchdowns in the NFL, win 2 rings, and be considered the baby GOAT to the greatest who ever done it. What a disrespect. There's no honor over there in those sports. Here in boxing, we know it. You know it. You can't be called the GOAT while an active fighter. Those are the rules for being in boxing. You got to earn GOAT status. We don't play that shit in boxing. No. There is no active fighter that can be called the GOAT. Why? Because we know boxers don't retire well. This motherfucker's going to go out in his 40s, get knocked out 8 times. 3 of them, he's going to get knocked out of the ring. He got knocked out in the end of his career 8 consecutive times. Is that the GOAT? There's a beginning, a middle, a highlight in your career in GOAT status, but there's also an end. You need to end well. They know these boxers are crazy, so in the Hall of Fame, when you retire, you must have 5 years of inactivity fights for them to consider you. Because they know we crazy. 3 years later, we jumping up out off the couch like one time Keith Thurman and Manny Pacquiao. Up, put me in, coach. I'm ready. They can fuck up their records. I will die going in my grave arguing for Roy Jones Jr. I think he was one of the best fighters ever. Just all those losses at the end of his career. What was it? 10 losses? 8? He got knocked out 8 times. He messed up his. I get so mad, man, because he can't be in the conversation for GOAT. In boxing, you gotta earn that shit. When your career is all said and done, we tally up everything you did. And there's qualifications for you to further in the conversations. How far you go is how far what you did in your career. You just don't walk in a boxing room and say, oh, I want to be on the conversation for GOAT. No. There's qualifications here, buddy. Back the fuck up. Let's see if you make it. Why do you feel like you should be in the conversation for GOAT status? Let's break down what you did. X, Y, and Z. Then we put you up against your competition, your peers. How many champions did you beat? How long did you hold the belt? And one of the biggest things is opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has them. One of the opinions is I don't feel like you fought everybody. Well, he's only one guy. There's no perfect fighter, so I can only judge you by what you did. Then after you meet those qualifications, you start to get put up against the other legends. You have to go up against them. Once you clear that floor that you went up against the legends and you showed you could hold your own with your what you did, then you go into the next conversation in boxing. The best to ever do it. There's only a few men in that room. That's it. But you don't automatically go from right here to this ain't NBA, this ain't NFL, this ain't fucking tennis. We don't just throw around, oh yeah, go. There's 10 goats in football right now. There's 10. They got Jerry Rice, they got Barry Sanders, there's like 10 of them. There's like 12 in basketball. They give away that word GOAT in basketball so easily. I believe there was 3 GOATs at one time playing basketball. LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and like Steph Curry were all playing in the league at the exact same time. They were all called the GOAT. They GOATs are watered down. Their GOATs don't respect them. They should have kept their GOAT strong, Mike. Now every kid that dunks or breaks away to the rim with a little motherfucking short is Jordan now. They watered all their GOATs down. No, everybody's going, no, who is the GOAT? Who's it? They got like 12. Every time you mention something, they're bringing up old legends with 12 rings. All kinds of shit. It's crazy over there. But in boxing, you got to earn that shit. You got, who you just call the GOAT in boxing? Listen, you got to earn that. And sometimes GOAT status, it's all into the interpretation of the person that's breaking it down too. Sometimes you can be really misled, right? Because there are men and women that did things in the sport of boxing that they were bigger than boxing. Some of the things that they did, they were a different man outside of the sport. There were very few men that can achieve such a status, but it didn't mean that it should award them GOAT status. They were just like celebrities. They were revered by many, and not typically because of the sport that they were in. That gets misconstrued with the perception that he should be awarded GOAT status. Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was revered by countless of people. And he was just that little dude that can. And I think his star status was bigger than boxing. Muhammad Ali was the same way. But Muhammad Ali did GOAT shit, like defending the belt 19 times type shit. And he did do some shit, but he was bigger than boxing. He had a voice that carried weight. You understand? There were very few. Floyd was the same. There were very few boxers that ever achieved such a plateau. But sometimes the man that they were outside gets blended in with the fact that that's what I mean. They got to lower the bar to get their guy in the conversation. You know, oh, he sold this much. He did this. Yeah, well, our GOAT status is about pure skills, warrior shit. Not about how many thousands of people came out to see you. That's impressive. Very impressive. But at the end of the day, GOAT status in boxing should be only judged by your competition, how you fared, and what you accomplished. How dominant were you? And what sets you apart from GOAT status to anybody else, you have to be rare. Can't be doing the same shit everybody else is doing. And Oh yeah, we're gonna elect. No, you have to stick out. You got to go above and beyond. You got to be a type of champion that when people look at your championship record, they're gonna go, shit, that's gonna be hard to beat. Those are the goats. Records that stay on and live through the test of time. Those are records that may never be broken. Where Federal Benitez got that record, what was he, 17 years old, first world champion at world champion? Records like that, I'm not sure if a 17-year-old kid anywhere in the world can just knock out a world champion and walk off with a real world title, like no interim shit, no regular, no youth boy, you know, none of those little belts. I'm talking about a real world championship. And he did it in like the most gladiator fucking era in boxing at 17. Mayweather fought the most champions. I'm not sure if those kind of records will be broken. When you look at shit like that, you're sitting back and you're saying to yourself, damn, like those records are gonna live on for fucking the test of time. When's the next era you think we're gonna get three men in the same fucking era to unify all four belts? When do you think we'll get another era like that? Or will we see anything like that again? And mind you, when you look at some of these special fighters, right? You got to realize one thing, right? This shit only comes around every so generation. Sometimes like a remarkable fighter will pop up and he'll stand out above all. Right now, for me, that's Naoya Inoue. He's just a complete package. That's why. And there's a lot of great talent, right? But a lot of distraction. We like to, you know, celebrate with our fighters, and we like to show them a good time, and we got to be careful with that because sometimes we can show them too much of a good time and they'll stay there, you know, and they don't want to come back to the sport. uh the Charlo twins, I think too many people showed them a good time and they forgot what bought them all that stuff. It's unfortunate to see some shit like that happen because I wanted to see how far those two brothers go. And I pray for both of them. Um, I pray for both Charlo twins to get their shit together and to come back to the sport of boxing and make another run for it. Make another. I think they're still young enough to do it. They're Saul Canelo Alvarez age, the Charlo twins, exactly Saul's age. So, and they don't got as many where miles on them like Saul does. Saul got 61 professional fight. He got a lot of boxing miles on him. See, I don't think that the Charlos, but drug and alcohol use can fuck up the body, bro, really bad, really bad. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, but I pray for them because I like the Charlo twins, man. I think they were exciting for boxing, man. I think they were cool. But yeah, man. Maybe Canelo calls a shot. It's the yeah. He probably didn't. He you know I can see both sides of that clear as day. I can see where Eddie and and Saul, like Saul has a fight coming up. He's gonna want all Eddie's attention. He's not gonna want to split it with Tio and his father, bro. And then what Frontline was saying about the coaches situation and which ones they wanted, just in case to prepare if they lost, who to shift the blame to. You know, is this already a built-in excuse for Tio? Look, I was having coaching problems, as you guys can see. Uh, well, Tio, your father coached you your entire life. When all else fails, just go with the man that got you to the dance. You seem to be winning fights like that. Yeah, we could all tell that there's some things you need to work on. But in this particular fight right here, um, I don't think Arnold Barboza is going to be doing a lot of running. I mean, I think he's going to be doing his fair share of moving, movement. But I don't think he's going to look like Jermaine Ortiz. No, for 12 rounds, no, not Arnold Barboza. I think he's going to do your basic boxing moving. He's going to move when he needs to. He's going to cut back, keep his head off the center line when he needs to. And he's going to engage. It's just going to be a type of guy that's going to be coming forward. And he's going to be meeting Tio with his jab, I could see. And then Arnold likes to shoot the 1-2 straight down. He likes to go downstairs to the body. He has a good body check hook, Arnold Barboza. So that's basically what I see. Tio's gonna have to see if he can nullify Arnold's punches, and also to see that that he can push Arnold Barboza back and give him something to think about. I want to see how Tio responds to Arnold Barboza's punches, and I want to see the same thing. But I still think that Tio, all in all, he's a crafty fighter. He's been around Tio. He's been to many gyms. He sparred all of the top guys. Maybe he might have not fought them in the ring where it counts, but he has sparred the Shakurs, the Tank Davises, the Rollies, all that shit. Tio's been around and he's been in some really big boxing circles. So for experience, I think that Tio got the more of the experience. Tio did fight Loma and beat him. Not only did he fight Loma, he beat him. So, Arnold got some pretty good big wins too, but I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know because I don't know how to feel about Tio. I don't want to fucking sit here and act like I want to support him, because the only reason why I come to his defense at any point is because I'm promoting boxing and I'm on the side of boxing. So since he's getting bashed so much, I gotta be the one that fucking sticks my head out the window for boxing because of this fucking sucker's antics. I can just hop along with everybody else. Sure, I can. Sure. You know how the expression kick him while he's down? Sure, I could be that guy. But there has to be another side to it. Sometimes I have to play the devil's advocate, and I got to come up here and be like, yo, guys, Teal's good for the sport. We don't have that many great stars left, and we got some about to leave. And even if you don't like Teal as an individual or a boxer, but wouldn't you like somebody to punch him in the face? Wouldn't you like somebody to at least knock him out for you? So he's good for boxing. Mayweather was phenomenal for boxing, and a lot of people hated him at the end. They wanted to see him lose. They were paying to see him lose. He was good for boxing. You need a villain. Tio just doesn't know how to play the villain role because he's such a dumbass. He just doesn't know how to play the villain role. The way he goes about it, poor taste, poor judgment. You're an idiot. That's all I got. But I don't want to keep bashing him. Because the sports where it's at, when we got people threatening, coming in, trying to take over boxing with this TKO shit. And the future of boxing is, sometimes I get nervous. I'm like, yo, they're going to take these belts away? Nah, fuck that. Like, I can't see boxing without these alphabet belts. For as fucked up as the organizations are and all the crazy shit they do, I can't see boxing without them. I just can't. And we talked about this, guys. We talk about like situations with, oh, these belts don't mean shit, this, that, and third, whatever, right, okay. when you look back at all these classic fights and the moments, the reason why those fights were up there in Las Vegas and New York, Madison Square Gardens, because there were titles on the line. The titles represent your hard work. That represents that all your sacrifices paid off, and you're telling the world you are one of the best, or if not the best, in that weight division. That's what that belt represents. Without that belt, you're just talking shit. You might have beat everybody else. Shit, we know a lot of fighters that came out with 16 straight knockouts. Berlanga. Is he a world champion yet? Not saying that he's bad, but is he a world champion? That's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is, you can say what you want. That belt represents everything. To the men and women that held it, I'm going to tell you right freaking now. Yeah, I don't like the WBC's antics. Some of these fake belts they be making. I'm going to be 100% transparent here. If God ever granted me the ability to go back 20 years, and when I was just, he was to say, "Young Edwin, wisen up." And I was to take boxing serious, and I went in and I ever won a WBC World Championship. I'm telling you right now, the fact that I know Mayweather held one of these belts in his hand, the surge of energy that probably would go through my body, because I know I got the same belt he got. Might not be in the same weight division, might not be the exact same belt, but it's a WBC world title. I probably won't take that motherfucker off for like 4 weeks. Underneath my clothes, the belt will be right there. I'm trying to tell you something. And like, I can't imagine boxing without him. They headaches, and a lot of bullshit and antics come with them, but I love them just the same. And the fact to see them all draped around you, that speaks volume. You have all the alphabet belts all around you, man. That's just, it could be just no greater feeling, man. You sit there and you fantasize about being the greatest fighter in the world, right? What happens when you make it a reality? To the very few men that were able to achieve that, the Saul Canelo Alvarez of the world, the Usyks, the Terrence Crawfords, the Charlo twin, Josh Taylor, Inoue Inoue. That's a plateau where, very few men. It's like a 1%, man. It's like a 1% room. It's like 5-6 people out of like 50,000 fighters. You mean to tell me 6 people can do it out of like 50,000 current active fighters in the world? Those are the lucky few. It's the highest plateau you can reach. And boy, is it a sight to see. Is that a sight to see? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm about to witness that bitch. Listen, I'm going to Vegas. Naoya Inoue, May 4th. Roman, listen, Roman, from me to you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting this fight come together and them not bring it back to Japan, because he didn't get a worthy opponent. Because if he would have not gotten a good enough opponent or whatever, he was going back to Japan to fight MJ. I can guarantee you that's what was going to happen. Because MJ and Naoya Inoue would sell in Japan. You're damn right it will. They don't need the US. So, but without having the Mexican fighter, Mexican independence, Las Vegas, all of that is trying to help promote more viewing eyes to one of the best fighters we have today. and Naoya Inoue. And when he knocks this dude out, he gonna put them 4 belts on. And I'm gonna go witness that shit firsthand. I gotta see that shit. Fuck around. I'll be in the ring right next to Naoya anyway. Like, yo, photo op. Yo, listen, I want to see that shit. Um, I've seen various belts throughout my days. Like my boy, he got one and shit. He got like the WBO and shit, and he's got a WBA one. I think. Oh, is it a WBA one? Yeah, it's a black one, right? And then they got the WBO. Um, and then like my other boy, he got the IBF, but it wasn't a real like you can't tell the difference though from their interim belt, right? So like I've seen belts and shit, right? I just never seen them all, on one person like that. On TV, yeah. Not in real life, like sitting there like watching it and shit. And it's just it all comes with the Naoya Inoue experience. And I'm looking forward to it. I went and got myself a little hotel room and shit for the day today. I was like, I was thinking about just walking around, chilling. I was like, I ain't walking around Vegas, fuck around and get in trouble and shit. Um, so I'm going out. I'm going out to the fight on May 4th. So I'm not going to be able to do a lot of coverage at all because I'm like going in the day of the fight. I wanted to get in 2 or 3 days. My wife wasn't going to go for that. She ain't. With you alone in Vegas for 2, 3 days, get the fuck out of here. It's not going down, baby. So the best I can get was 1 day in, 1 day out type shit, right? Where that I'm going in on the 4th. I'll be arriving in Vegas around 11 o'clock in the afternoon or somewhere around there, right? Stay there for the entire day, the entire fight. Next day in the morning at 9, I'm flying out type shit. So I'm like getting in and getting out. So I'm not really sure what kind of coverage, but I'm gonna take a shitload of pictures and I'm gonna go live while I'm in Vegas. So I'm gonna go live off my phone and shit. So we could all talk and shit. I'm gonna film and Neil Inoue in the ring, enjoy the fights, see if I could run into a couple guys. Whatever happens, whatever happens, you know what I'm saying? And go from there. But I think that Naoya Inoue is worth it. He's worth the experience. It's up to you. If you love Javante Tank Davis, I would advise you to go watch him. If you love Shakur, whoever it is, I don't know what your favorite fighter is, but if you have the time and you can do it, I would advise you go do it. You know, and I'm gonna go watch him. Naoya Inoue right now, uh, uh, you know, uh, do you? I remember one time in the segment. What's up, man? What's up, Warlock? Warlock Boxing. How you doing? Um, Let me read some of your comments. Hold up. I gotta move all this stuff out of the way so I can read you guys's. You late, breaking news already broke. What's good, baby? How you doing, Warlock Boxing? Yeah, so like, what do you guys think about any of this stuff? Yo, frontline, come up in here. Come up in here, talk with me. I'm gonna be dropping the link right now. Yeah, I feel like in the mood of talking with some. I'm gonna open up the board. And then you got some the entire Inferno coming up against Booker here. Now, a lot of people are criticizing him for this kind of fight. Oh, it's an easy fight, taking the easy road type shit. I'm like, the fuck are you guys talking about? I'm like, my man just became a champion. Allow him to do one of those little fights to defend them belts. So at least you can get that out of the way. Things we don't talk about in the sport of boxing. It's not like a rule. It's like it's one thing to get a belt, but you complete the ceremony once you defend the belt. Now, in the eyes of other champions, you're a real world champion. First, you got to win it, then you got to defend it type shit. You don't have to defend it 100 times, but you completed the champion ceremony. I mean, you solidified your world championship by a title defense, meaning you were championship quality. Sometimes you want to be champion for a little bit of time before you go into that dangerous fight. No sooner that Sebastian Fundora beat Tim Tszyu, they wanted him to fight. They were ordering it. Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., like they were throwing like all these monsters at him. Like if he was like prey. And he became a unified world champion in one day. And like his father and everybody's like, damn, you guys are coming at my son. You guys are not just sending any fighter. You're not just talking about the top 3 fighters in the division. No, you're talking about pound for pound, the best fighter on the planet, Terrence Crawford. That's the first fight you want my son to fight? You dirty motherfuckers. Like, let my son breathe as a champion. So I'm kind of glad that he's getting this Booker fight, to be honest with you. All this best, how does this fall on Sebastian Fundora? All Terrence Crawford's visions and what he and expectations of what he wants out of boxing, all of a sudden it falls on Sebastian, and because Sebastian breaks away from it, he's a duck now. I'm like, I hear you, kid. I hear you, man. It was coming for them belts, huh? You had to get a lawyer. You and your dad had to y'all had to do some shit to get out of that one, huh? But I don't blame you. I would like to be a champion just a little longer. Just because I'm a boxer, I'm a champion in boxing didn't make me the greatest fighter. And all of a sudden, y'all go get the greatest fighter. And I'm like, shit. These guys they always want to challenge themselves, but look what happens when you challenge yourself. Nick Ball, he got exposed on a level that I don't think people really want to report. What's up with people's tongues on Nick Ball? The UK scene, like, what, we can't talk about UK fighters or something now? Because I've been noticing everybody been like letting up on that dude. No, that's not what I saw. Nick Ball got outclassed in that fight so much. Then he had to knee, wrestle, dirty fight tactics against an old TJ Doheny that he brought up. He was the bigger guy, supposed to be the bigger guy. Not TJ Doheny. And if TJ Doheny was 10 years younger, he beats the shit out of fucking Nick Ball. Hands down. And then on top of that, they're going to say that the performance that Nick Ball put up was a worthy performance to merit him a fight with Naoya Inoue. And when I heard that, I was like, you know what? You're right. Nick Ball is that dude. Why couldn't I see it with I was so blind. He beat the shit out of TJ Doheny. You know what? You guys are right. Wait right there, Nick Ball. You say you want to fight Naoya? I'm going to go get him. Right? If that's what you guys want to believe, and you guys want to tell yourselves that performance by Nick Ball was worthy of a fight with Naoya, all right, cool. Yep. I hope Naoya Inoue pulls up. And on that day, I'm going to be right here around One Sports Talk with you, watching it together unfold in real time. And I'm going to be going, oh, Nick Ball. Bob and Wee, Nick Ball. Oh. And down goes Nick Ball. There goes that belt. Matter of fact, when that day happened, I'm going to clip this video right here. I'm going to put it in my new video. I'm standing on what I'm saying. There's no way on God's green earth Nick Ball even has the speed, the accuracy, the kind of pressure that it can even create Naoya Inoue problems. Meaning, some people are talking about, could Nick Ball's pressure give the boxer problems because he won't let Naoya Inoue set up? Who are you guys talking about? You could say that again. Good boxers, Nick Ball, will they do that to good boxers, and some even great boxers, Nick Ball can do that to them. You're not talking about elite fighter Naoya Inoue. I know you're not referring that tactic to the elite fighter, because on that day, Naoya Inoue is going to show the world what it means to be an elite fighter. Stop comparing him to these other boxers like TJ Doheny, that was a mere punching bag for Naoya Inoue. And I'm talking about a punching bag. TJ Doheny could not touch Naoya Inoue. And TJ Doheny was slugging it out with Nick Ball. And Nick Ball, at times, was looking stupid in the ring. He didn't have the speed or the blistering speed to even pressure a guy that was standing still. I want you to think about that for a second. This forward pressure speed and that's going to give Naoya Inoue so much fits. He couldn't do that to a guy that wasn't moving. TJ Doheny stood right in front of him the entire night. All he did was go backwards, go like this, move his neck. In front of him, though, like this. And Nick Ball's going to have what kind of speed? What kind of power? All those power shots that old man took, TJ Doheny, none of them put him down. Not one. And he went 10 rounds with the man. There's no way. And the other thing was, remarkably, right? TJ Doheny got in the ring with Nick Ball. Who is the bigger fighter? Just a little confused. Can anybody help me out with that? Who was the bigger fighter in that ring on that night? TJ Doheny looked way bigger than Nick Ball. But wait a minute. Wasn't Nick Ball the real 126 pounder and TJ Doheny was coming up from 122? So TJ Doheny was the smaller guy. On the day they got in the ring, TJ Doheny was awfully bigger than Nick Ball. I remember when TJ Doheny and Naoya Inoue fought. TJ Doheny didn't look that big. He didn't look that big. I thought that Naoya Inoue looked bigger than TJ Doheny the day they fought. So that's the size, when you look at it, how Naoya Inoue is going to look against Nick Ball. He's going to brutalize that man. Yeah. I'm not, listen, at some point in time, like sometimes, like, we need things like this, like what Nick Ball did to himself. He was supposed to go in there and beat the shit out of TJ Doheny and really like try to get a fight with Naoya Inoue, right? See, the one thing that I like about Nick Ball understands the value in his position. Nick Ball understands the value of that belt that he has wearing around his waist. And Nick Ball understands that that's not going to be his forever, but he will capitalize on the fight. And you see, Nick Ball understands the business of boxing. And he's saying to the world, and publicly, this is coming out of his mouth, I put myself in this position. I know what I'm worth. And if Naoya Inoue moves up and wants this belt right here, I'll fight him. Pay me. That's all you got to do. And Nick Ball is going to fight Naoya Inoue. Yep. He's going to fight him. I like that. I like that because it shows like he understands win, lose, or draw, but he understands that his life work, when to cash out. You know, you can't be scared in these moments and not put these big fights together because you're taking these mediocre fights and soon it's going to backfire on you, just like Teofimo Lopez, just like Tank, just like Shakur, just like a lot of these guys that want these big paydays without fighting no one, none of the top guys. And they get themselves in these situations. So I like the way Nick Ball expresses himself, where he is in his career, what his value is as a world champion. It's not always about legacy or moving up multiple divisions. I think Nick Ball is going to stay where he's at and he's going to ride out his success where he's at. And he's going to capitalize in the position that he's in and what he has to offer as a fighter. You know, not every guy is going after all 4 belts, you know, multiple. No. And that's good. I like how Nick Ball is thinking, and I can respect that. I can respect that all day. Yes. But as far as skill, I'm just being honest. Naoya, I don't think Naoya Inoue is an elite fighter for just because he's just knocking people out. I see that all the time. That does not qualify you for an elite fighter. It's how you're doing it. And you guys are going to see what I'm talking about. Whether you see it or not, don't worry about it. I'm trying to tell you. I hope that he really doesn't take any more fights at 122, to be honest with you. Naoya Inoue has nothing to prove there. By not fighting MJ in 122, to tell you the truth, it does nothing for him. It's not like Naoya Inoue has to fight MJ to validate his career. No, he's not in that kind of position, and MJ's not that kind of fighter. MJ has not done any legendary shit to be awarded the most ultimate of challengers. He doesn't have that kind of name, MJ. You know what I'm saying? It's like Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. At one point in time, they needed each other. Yes, they did. They had to fight each other to validate their career. Yes, they did. They needed each other. But he doesn't need him to fight MJ, right? But like Lloyd's saying right now, everybody wants to see that fight, though. They just want Naoya Inoue to shut him up. And I see what Lloyd is saying. Like, yeah, I see it too. But I got to admit, Lloyd, check this out, my man, right? What would you want better? Him to stay at 122 and fight MJ? Or after this Las Vegas fight, say, I'm fighting Nick Ball for that 126-pound belt, and I would be entering my 5th weight division. Right now, Lloyd, tell me what you would want more. I'm on the side. I want to see him at 126 with Nick Ball, because once you step in 126, you know the other champions and all the other possibilities. All the name changes. The competition changes. I only want him to beat up MJ because I just want him to shut his mouth. I never thought that MJ was on the same skill or possess any threat to Naoya Inoue. So it's just basically we wanted him to spin the block to shut him up. That's all. But 5 weight divisions, 126 with Nick Ball, I'll take that over the MJ fight. You're damn right. And you put that in Riyadh season. You kick that fight off with Nick Ball in Riyadh season for one of those belts. And it'll also commit Naoya Inoue to the new weight division. Because you know he's going to vacate those belts. Naoya Inoue doesn't hold up divisions. He ain't no sucker. And when to the guy that said, well, Naoya Inoue vacated all those belts in 30 days so that his brother can get one of the belts. What's wrong with that? His brother still had to win it, right? He still had to fight somebody, right? Cool. And he showed love to the rest of the division as well. His brother couldn't fight for all four at the same time, right? He could only fight for one. So even if he vacated the belt for Takuma, right, to get a world title fight, cool. Little bro, I'm helping you out. You need to do your part because Big Bro's going this way. It's fucking awesome. So what the hell was wrong with that? So I know if he went up to 126, he'd vacate all those belts, man, and I'll take the Nick Ball fight over that MJ fight. It'd be some shit like the fact that you give a man like MJ that little, that moral victory over you type shit where that he can say, well, Naoya Inoue ducked me. He never fought me. Well, who did you ever fight to be worthy of fighting Naoya Inoue? Who did you beat, MJ, to put you in front of the line? Did you go back and fight Marlon Tapales, the guy that beat you? No. Did you beat any of the top guys? No. How about anybody in the top 10? No. The top 20? No. The top 30? No. How about the top 40? No. Who did you fight, MJ? And why is the world believing that somehow you were a threat or Naoya Inoue was avoiding you? That's a scandal by a promotional company that stirred up a rumor. They kicked it off, fed it to the people, made it seem like Naoya was actually avoiding that guy. But when you turn around and you look at who they were talking about, you're like, who the hell is Naoya Inoue avoiding? Who's he scared of? That guy. Who? Where is he? Because I see NJ standing right there. Is he behind Akmedalia? Or is he... Akmedalia, get out of the way. You're saying it is Akmedalia. Fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck... Yo. So, I get it, Lloyd. You don't want to give this guy, Ed Hearn, not even the inclination of living off of your name. You know what I'm saying? Like, MJ's going to live off, like, right off into the sunset. Naoya Inoue ducked me. Like, is that the highlight of your career? Or are you doing something? Walking around with that interim belt like it means something. You know, like, but the truth is, Naoya doesn't need MJ. Sure the fuck doesn't. MJ was never in the conversation, like, as far as a championship worthy opponent. He was never in that conversation. He just slithered his way in with his manager, Ed Hearn. And they did a little bit of fucking media, and poof, here you go. Bullshit ass story. People buying it. They buying it. But I would rather see him move up to 126. And like I said, if he said he was going up to 126 after this Las Vegas fight, I welcome it. New division, new name. He already beat the shit out of everybody at 122. Walked in from day one, kicked open the door. Who's the toughest man in this division? You and me outside. Let's go. Who's the next toughest man in the division? You're on deck. I'll deal with you next. And he just kept beating them up one by one. And then a whole bunch of dudes started getting mysterious eye cuts, and it was an inconvenience for them to fight Naoya Inoue. you know, they had other things to do in that day that was important. They had to do their grocery list. You know, they had to make sure that their rent was paid and finances. They had to check over. They were busy. It was an inconvenience to fight Naoya in a way, right? But they be talking shit like they want to fight him until that man pulls up. When Naoya in a way pulls up, they like, I did say I was going to fight you, just not right now. The next time we see each other, though, the next time I will fight you. It's not gonna happen. I don't believe they do, and it just presents a better challenge for Naoya. It really does. Um, all these fights are gone. The John Casamaro fight, it's not gonna happen. I tried to tell y'all. I told y'all, didn't I tell y'all a year ago? Remember? And a lot of people were like, "Nah, he's gonna fight John." And I was like, "Yo, guys, I'm trying to tell you." And I was being like a little at the time when I was reporting, I try to tiptoe around it because I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings on that. Because there was a lot of passionate John Casamaro fans like, nah, he's gonna fight him. I'm like, homeboy, I think that train passed. I was right. I was right. I didn't think that John Casamaro had too many outside distractions. He's also a little bit of a dick, you know what I'm saying, in real life. And like I just think that he had too many outside distractions. Once I saw that he got suspended, then he was stripped for his world title. At that point, Naoya Inoue, he moved up from 118, and I said it's over with. I said he's never gonna fight John Casamaro, and I didn't think he was gonna fight Chocolito too, but Chocolito like ducked him the most out of all the fighters that champions that Naoya Inoue wanted to fight. Chocolito was the one that ducked him the most. And then Chocolatito and his management, they weren't even, it wasn't even like they were hiding it, right? But when their arguments at first were valid for me, unfortunately. And I can say this about Naoya Inoue too, because you gotta know me by now. I like Naoya Inoue, but I'm gonna call it for what it was at the time. I don't think Naoya Inoue had enough fights back then to be awarded to fight Chocolatito. And when Chocolatito and his management said that about Naoya Inoue, and then they said, "Yo, my man's only like 20 years old with 7 professional fights. Like, okay, he won a world title at 108. Now he wants to jump into the 112. He only defended the belt once. Like, why should Chocolatito fight a guy with 7 fights?" And his argument was okay until he put Naoya Inoue to fight in New York City on Chocolatito's undercard. Then the guy that Chocolatito loses to, bro, that guy was fighting 8-round fights. And he was supposed to be revered at the time, Chocolatito, like the one of the greatest fighters down there in the flyweights. And that he would destroy Naoya Inoue because Naoya Inoue didn't have enough experience and his name wasn't big enough back then. It wasn't like Naoya Inoue in his 7th fight was the fighter that he is today with the kind of, he all the arenas he can sell out in Japan. No. He was an upcoming fighter struggling to sell tickets to Naoya Inoue. And at the time I saw that. But when Chocolatito ducked him for the 3rd time, I said to myself, he doesn't want to fight this kid for some reason. Then Naoya Inoue bypassed 112. He couldn't get no one to fight him. And then the European guy there, right? Was it? No, 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 no. No, no, he hadn't fought him yet. He had moved up. I think he fought Navarez and then Omar Navarez. He beats Omar Navarez. Then he moves up. He at 115. Who was it? The first champion he beat it at 118. Damn, Naoya Inoue. Sometimes I gotta like think about his record. I know him really well, but sometimes I cover so much boxing that a lot of things get bounced around in my head. I know he fought the first one for the WBA World Championship was Jamie McDonald, the European champion. He fought him, and I think that catapulted him um in 118. He took that belt and entered it into the World Series of Boxing, where that they threw in 3 belts in that event. They got 3 of the champions: the IBF, the WBO, and the WBA. Yeah, and Naoya Inoue walked out of that tournament with all 3 of those. Then he went on to fight Nonito Donaire the second time for the remaining piece, which the WBC. Right? Why does it look backwards to me in my head? The last person he fought at 118 was Paul Butler. He unified in 118, unified in 122. He defended the belt at 115 7 times. That's what he did. The last person he fought at 118 was Paul Butler, and that was the last piece of the puzzle. He won that off Paul Butler. He won the WBO off Paul Butler. And then he fought Stephen Kubo Fulton for the WBO and the WBC. He fought Marlon Tapales for the IBF and WBA. That's how it went. Took me a second to figure it out in my head. I just got a lot of boxing in my head, but I know what he's done, and I'm very familiar with him. And I think that Naoya Inoue, I think that his I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stand on my square. I'm gonna stand on my square. I think the best move is to go to 126. I don't. I'll take the MJ fight. I'm not saying that I don't want it. I'm not saying that, um, it wouldn't be an exciting fight to put together. No, I'm not saying any of that. If he decides to fight MJ, great. I would love to see MJ get in the ring with him. I would love to see it. Until the day I actually see MJ walking down the aisle, I'm not going to believe it. But until that moment, because anything can happen the day of the fight. MJ can faint on the scale. Ambulance can drive him off back into witness protection program, and we can get a last minute replacement. How many times have we seen that in a Naoya Inoue fight? Guys get out 10 days out from the fight and get cold feet. Not once, but twice. You got guys pulling out of the fight and not even answering their phone, stepping up for a replacement. They were screaming they wanted to fight so much, but when his fight gets canceled, these guys don't even pull up. The whole 115 ducked him. Everybody started ducking that kid. Bro, it was incredible. It was like none of the champions at 115 wanted to fight him. He had to leave. He had to go to 118. But what really sold it for Naoya Inoue, and I want to thank personally right now here at Round One Sports Talk to take the time, because I knew this day would come one day. I knew this day would come, and I'm so glad I thought of it right now. And I'm like, you know what, Edwin? In actuality, that day has arrived. Why? Today is that day that I want to publicly come out and thank personally every YouTube content creator and every boxing channel that called Naoya Inoue a hype job during that time. Thank you. Thank you so much. Because without you guys, I don't think you fool the rest of the boxing world into thinking that this guy is a hype job and that the corruption of boxing and just pushing these guys up fighting nobodies, that it made all the somebodies step up and fight him. And before they realized, oh shit, this guy's the truth, it was too late. He was already walking off with all their belts. And I want to thank every content creator that ever came out and said, Naoya Inoue's a hype job. He's not that guy. hand wraps, steroid accusations, everything they said about him. Thank you. Thank you. Because it took fighters like Stephen Kubo Fulton to hear that shit and go, copy print. Yup, he's a hype job. You hear these guys? Oh, yeah. This guy, he's coming up to 122 from 118. A little guy. You think he's going to come up here and take my belts? Look what they're saying about him. He's a hype job. And they didn't bother to really look into it. A lot of these guys were stubborn because of the old stigma that the guys on the other side of the pond are not that good. They're great. They get to a certain level and they never seem to like really, out of like the 1,000 guys that come from over that side of the pond 20 years ago, one, maybe one or two would hit a good status in boxing. It usually that European wave of guys, they hungry. It comes in real big wave, and then it just trickles down to nothing. We've seen it happen so many times, but now 20 years later from those days, shit's changing, bro. These European guys are really tough, bro. They're getting good training, bro. And these Japanese dudes are even getting tougher, and it seems like a lot of these places are really getting real good competition, and things are starting to change. Pretty soon, that little thing, oh, you got to cross the pond, that's going to be non-existent. It's going to be go anywhere and fight the best, because the best fighters come from all over the globe. We're going to be at an era where fighting is going to be really, really, and you're going to see it. When what I mean, what I've been trying to say from the beginning I started this, we're competing for these belts. Boxing is like the Olympics. US versus all other countries. Mexico versus everyone. Santo Domingo versus everybody. Japan versus everybody. When Naoya Inoue wins those belts, where do they go? To Japan. Those belts are not in US. They're not in Russia. The France can't say that Naoya Inoue got the belt. No, he represents his country. We're competing. In actuality, Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Ryan Garcia, they're all on the same boxing team. Even Teo. They all represent US. That's supposed to be US's boxing team. Terrence Crawford, all those are our guys. We're going up against Ukraine, Vasily, Uzyk's the heavyweight champion of the world. Ukraine got their country on the map. Every time Usyk wins, what flag do you see? He's representing Ukraine very well. Very well. He must make them proud. Being in the situation that they're in, unfortunately, but Japan, Naoya Inoue represents the Japan flag very well. Saul Canelo Alvarez represents the Mexican flag very well. In revered in Mexico, he is their guy. We are competing to bring these belts home. At the end of the day, I mean, America, we're just, at times we can be savages. We attack ourselves a little too early. We go all over social media and we disrespect each other. In America, what we preach is to be divided. In America, we don't teach unity. That's not broadcasted over many microphones in America. The unity, being together, we claim to be it. We're like the fake version of loyal Americans. That's what we are. Because we're loyal to America and we're loyal to our guy and we're loyal to our team, but we're kind of misled, right? We don't realize we're attacking each other, meaning the Lakers play the Celtics, two American teams, guys, right? We don't play the Celtics against Russia. We don't play the Lakers versus France, versus China. No, we don't. So we teach ourselves to be disloyal to the rest of the American teams. If you're a Laker fan, you're not loyal to the Celtics. That's exactly what I mean. But in actuality, they're both American teams, aren't they? I guess we're programmed not to see that in boxing. We don't see that Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia and Teo and Terrence Crawford are all on the same boxing team. We don't see that. We don't even say team in boxing because boxing is an eye sport, individual, right? That's what they want to tell you. And what they want you to do is individually pick out a fighter and turn on all the other fighters. Just pay to see him because you'll be his fans rather than being a fan of boxing and having a little bit more favoritism for other fighters. Yeah, I like this fighter over this fighter. He's my favorite fighter. I respect all the other fighters. They don't want you to view it like that. They don't want that. What they want is for you to say, yeah, Tank Davis and fuck everybody else. America. It's how we're conditioned. I go to watch the Patriots play the 49ers, and I'm over here saying fuck the 49ers, not really realizing football is only played on one place in the world, in America. That's it. They don't have any football leagues anywhere else. That shit don't exist, man. So I think sometimes I like in the heat of competition, I've always talked about great fighters. That's all I talk about. I talk about kicking ass, right? And the men and women that do it the best, right? That's all I really care about, right? Because I want to study, or when I view a fight, right, I want to know what he's thinking. That's something I can't pay for. No matter what I guess, whatever I assume, there's a small part in boxing that's taking place I can't be a part of. His thought process, the when and where, why did he do that? I look at it and I just don't look at a knockout and say to myself like I used to, like 25 years ago, whatever. I just look at the knockout. I'd be like, he sidestepped back, he cocked back, he ducked under, and he hit him like that. Until I realize that there's things that can transpire in between that, setting them up, baiting them. Um, Sometimes I criticize Teofimo Lopez for doing that a little too much. Teo's the kind of fighter that sometimes, if he ain't setting traps for you or just sitting back on the back foot trying to lure you to come in, he just stays there. He's not the type of fighter that's really taking chances to create things. You know what I'm saying? I hit you here, you go like this. I hit you here, you swing. That's what I created. I wanted you to swing your hand. I want you to swing this hand and I want you to swing it like that. Why? Because when you swing it, I'm gonna go under it. I'm gonna hit you with an uppercut like that, right? I created that. That's different than kind of like Teal does. Teal wants to counter off you, lay off the back foot, and try to set traps for you. And if you be patient with Teal, it's gonna turn out to be a boring fight because Teal's gonna try to outpatient you. And that's kind of what happens with Shakur. And Shakur is just, he's sitting back waiting because he knows the art of a hit without being hit. And if you throw that hand first, you're going to overextend first. His feet can still be in position, and just with his waist, he moves back, slides in, pop, 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 and counters, right? So that's what I mean. Like, sometimes, like, some of these, like, uh, a lot of these fighters are, their styles are different. You know, I can't keep sitting here like comparing different fighters because everybody's different in their own way. You know, but when you talk about like Naoya Inoue, right? Um, he's got to be the closest that when I watch him, I'm like looking at what he's doing. And for the first time in a long time, there's a few fights he really had me puzzled. He really did. There were moments like he was teaching me about fighting. And I'm not going to say that I know everything about fighting or whatever, but I kind of like thought that I seen every scenario. It just depend how to set it up. If there was a way to do it better, I thought I was at that point. Then I ran into this fucking anomaly, Naoya Inoue, and he made me rethink the game over. Basically, I saw him punching in situations I didn't think I was supposed to punch in. I thought that to be defensively sound was the right move in that situation. Um, that shot he has under the body and why he gets away with it, meaning he looks long. You know, when Tim Tszyu did it, he got punished and he got snapped when he tried to like go around to the body. He got snapped. Why Naoya Inoue gets away with that? It's the when and the where. He sees the guy go up like that. He knows with his burst of speed, he can come in, snap it down at the body. He's really smart. He throws the punch when he knows he can't be hit by the other guy. You know, he knows how to take the angle and the side he can work the side the guy typically doesn't train for, or that he got the guy moving awkwardly and he can't fight going to the right. He'll figure that shit out. He's so successful in his position because he's never out of position. He flows right into the next one. When and if he's got you hurt, he'll shift over to the next one. When you're trying to peek out, right? It kind of got to be frightening, right? Because the last thing you remembered, he was right here. So he throws the punch, boom. It causes you to do this. In this motion, when you peek out, he is no longer there. He is here. By the time you go to react, you're clinching up with this hand, which means this hand is out of the picture. You can't go like that, right? Right? You're not going to throw a punch like that. So now at that point, you're a one-armed fighter. You can only throw this way, or the uppercut. Those three ways. That's all you're going to do. He knows this. Once he got this arm cut off from you, and he's like, pow, he hits you here. Pow, pow, boom, right? You foolishly swing. That's what he wanted you to do. He created that. You throw a punch, Naoya Inoue ducks underneath, and before you got time to bring this arm back, you're going to get a vicious body shot. Ah, that's going to fold you there. What are you going to do next? I guarantee you're going to shift away from him. After he hits you with that shot, you're going to try to evade. He also created that when you're evading out, that's when he lunges up and snaps you on the top of the head, on the side of the head. All that he created. And the reason why he looks so good for it is because he's doing the moves it's like pop, pop, pop. He sets you up, pop, 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 boom. You know when like you play a video game and you're coming to a point in the video game, the unknown, you don't know what's gonna happen, and the boss comes out and just stomps you, bah, 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 right? Well, the next time you go in the room, you know he gonna try to hit you. You block that, right? So you keep doing the moves until you're sliding, whatever, better, right? That's where Naoya Inoue is in his boxing career. That's exactly where he is. He's been doing these moves. He's been fighting so long that he's flowing so fast that with one shot leads to another, that leads to another situation, and then he's finishing you. Once he has you there, there's also another period in the fight. It's not like he's doing this right out the gate. He has to get you there. The way he gets you there with his jab, pop, 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 and he bounces off his feet like this. But okay, you see, there was a point in time in his career where he was fighting like the guy in front of him. He was beating you at your own game. Then I guess there came a time in his career where a lot of things got serious. He was no longer playing around in the ring. He was just outskilling and outbeating these guys. Right? I got something in my eye. So there was a time where he beat the fighter in the very thing that fighter excelled in. Perfect example, Stephen Kubo Fulton. Naoya Inoue does not fight in the Philly shell. He doesn't fight in the Philly shell. That's not his fighting style. Then why is it in the very first round against Stephen Kubo Fulton, I dare you, go watch that first round, any part of the fight. Naoya Inoue came out like this in the Philly shell. He came out in Stephen Kubo Fulton's style and beat him in it. When he couldn't get guys to open up to beat him in their style, like Paul Butler. See, Paul Butler just shelled up. Paul Butler knew he was in trouble. He was in over his head. He was screwed. He was relying that Naoya Inoue slipped and that he can catch him with that big shot. That's all he had. So Naoya couldn't turn into Paul Butler. See, so in those kind of situations, see, so you're gonna see him in some fights not emulate the dude that he is, but when he fought Jason Maloney, boy, did he turn into that man. He showed Jason Maloney how to box. He did everything Jason Maloney did and then better. He taught Jason Maloney, when you throw that double jab, if you don't throw it from the right distance, you're not in the right position, you can get caught. He's a special fighter. Yeah, he really is. He's the shit, man. I gotta be honest. He is the shit. And certain small things that you ask about a fighter, whether or not the fighter can do this. One of the greatest things that makes Terrence Crawford such a dominant fighter, I'm gonna tell you right now, there was a point in time, it didn't matter if you put Terrence Crawford in with a righty or a lefty. It just didn't matter. Because if you want to turn lefty, Terrence can go lefty. If you want to fight righty, he can go right. So he was really ambidextrous when it came to the ability of fighting with the left, fighting. Terrence could fight going either way. He can fight going backwards, forward. Terrence is a special kind of fighter. He understands distance really well. He knows how to create situations, and he's powerful. Terrence is he's just a dog, man. He's a great fighter, for his weight division and his size. He's probably the best up there. There's nobody doing it like him, quite like him. There's a lot of young, hungry guys coming up that are being already compared to Terrence, like Jaron Boots Ennis. And I'm just like, y'all need to chill out with that shit. Jaron ain't fought nowhere near the type of fighters that he fought. Jaron Ennis's career stalled out a little bit during this promotional times when his promoter died and shit. I think that's what really affected Jaron Boots Ennis because I think that Jaron Boots Ennis is the next best thing. And I hope that this Stan Leonis fight, um, Jaron Boots Ennis comes out victorious. I don't think the Stan Leonis fight's an easy fight. Yo, them dudes, man, they're tough. Those dudes are tough. And Jaron Boots Ennis found that out for himself in his last fight. You start fighting them freaking Ukrainian, Russian type dudes with them big ass beards and shit. They live out in the wood type dudes. They have this kind of will, like Arthur. You know, they different men. They tough. Stanionis reminds me of those kind of guys, but does he have the complete package of the skills? Is he gonna look like he looked against the other guys he fought? I know Jaron Boots Ennis at times can be real flashy, flamboyant. That's what we like. But I hope that in this fight he comes there to take care of business, and I hope Jaron Boots Ennis becomes a uh, uh, unified world champion. And after that, we can see where the division goes, whether Brian Norman Jr. or Mario Barrio. Like, Brian Norman Jr.'s dad is crazy, if you ask me. My man be saying some shit. Brian Norman Jr.'s father, my man be saying some shit, and I just don't know how to take it sometimes. So I'm just gonna leave that alone. But as far as Naoya Inoue coming to Vegas, I think that this is the right time for him. I think it's a good promotional fight. And I want you to understand that. This is a good promotional fight. This is the point in time sometimes when the fighter has to give back to boxing, understand why we're doing this fight, and to be patient. Your fight is coming. Naoya Inoue is a star, hands down, in Japan. Hands down. Right? Okay. When you want to market your fighter, when I say that this is a good promotional fight, this is one of those rare times in boxing where your promotional company, your boxing promoters come to the fighter and say, listen, we understand who you want to fight. And when you're working with a fighter like Naoya Inoue, he's legitimately saying, I want the next best guy. He's not saying I don't care who you get. No, Naoya Inoue is being very specific. I care who you get, and it better be the top guys. I don't want no low guys. The number one guy is hiding out. The number two guy is phone. No one's seen him. The number three guy, guess what? He said he'll fight you. That's how we get there. But you're not gonna get the number 15, or number 88, number 55. You're not gonna get that. Not messing with Naoya Inoue. No, you're not. So what happens is Bob Arum and them came to Naoya and said, listen, this is not a fight about legacy, moving up in division, or even about opponent. This is a fight about showcasing you to America. Now, the way we're going to do that is we're going to fight in Mexican Independence holiday weekend. Saul Canelo Alvarez is fighting that Saturday. You're going to fight Sunday, coming off the Saul fight in Las Vegas with all those Mexicans, right? What we're asking you to do, Naoya Inoue, is not worry about the number one guy, MJ, moving up to 126. This is a showcase fight. What we need is the top Mexican fighter. Who is he? Alan David Picasso. Come here. Don't run. Where you going? David, stop running. All right. Alan David Picasso just ran away. So now we got Roman. Okay? Right? That's all they're doing. This is a showcase fight where you're showcasing and introducing what you believe to be the greatest fighter we have today. So you want the night to be right. And Mexican independent, they're going to go out to see a fight. There's a Mexican fighter. Mexicans don't care who they're fighting. Is he Mexican? Yeah, let's go! Until they're introduced to Naoya Inoue. Then they're going to be like, okay. All right. And the world's really going to get to know him. What happens after that, Riyadh season, whatever, we'll see how it works. We'll see how much love the fans show up and show out for Naoya Inoue. I know I'm going to be in attendance. And we'll see where it goes from there. But I understand the situation. I understand at this point that he could have fought MJ. But Naoya Inoue doesn't need him. They treated him like a step aside money dude. Hey, yo, we know you. Yeah, take this $25 and go stand over there. I said over there. Yeah, shh. MJ, the mic can hear you. They'll know that you're really a bitch. Shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Right? Right? Yeah. MJ, man, he didn't want to fight Naoya Inoue. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way on God's green earth. If I was fighting coming up, you going to treat me like a step aside money dude. That's for one. For two, I ain't in this to play around. And I ain't in here to make any friends, or I don't give a fuck about anybody's feelings being hurt. You don't like what the fuck I said? Well, then let's go outside. I don't give a fuck, right? There's no way I would have ever took step aside money for them belts. If what I was saying was true, if I was saying, yo, that dude is ducking me, he don't want to fight me, because blah, 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 and then I get my mandatory spot, and you come to me with an offer, here, take this step aside money, and man, I would have took that money and smacked him in the face with it. Bow, you step aside money dude. Man, I don't care about your Mexican independent weekend holiday and who the hell you want him to fight with. I don't care about none of that shit. I would have been like, yo, I want my shot. I want my shot now. There's no way I would have took any step aside. The minute he took that money, you don't want those belts. You don't want legacy. Because it would have, I would have, you know what I would have said? I'm Marlon Tapales. I mean, MJ. I'm sorry, Marlon. I get their names mixed up. If I was MJ, you know what I would have said? I'll come out in Mexican trunks. How about that? He looked close enough. He can pull it off, right? Right? Just have him on the billboard with the Mexican, you know what I mean? Whatever. Sell the fight. But I tell you one thing, figure it out. Because I'm going to tell you who he's fighting next. Me. Not him. Not that step aside money shit. He's fighting me. There would have been no doubt in my mind. Once my number was called, let's go. We going outside, bro. Get the fuck out of here. Step aside. I mean, it's just, smack the shit out of you. Fuck out of here with that step aside money shit. There's no way. I would have played spoiler. I don't give a fuck if you bring him to. That's not my problem. I didn't fight my entire career, get all the way up to this point, earn the number one spot to step aside. Are you serious? And you guys are taking that guy serious. You're taking him serious, like MJ. Like, fuck out of here, bro. He's a step aside dude, man. I can't take that dude serious. You got your opportunity more than once and you cried wolf. And then when presented with the opportunity to fight him in Las Vegas, you stepped aside. Come on, man. Make it make sense, please. No. No. And that's why I say I don't care if Naoya Inoue doesn't even fight him and goes up to 126. I hope he fucking leaves him standing there with that little bit of step aside money. That's what you accomplish right there. By all your efforts and all your dumb shit. What's up, Mark? How you doing? You know what I mean? So he can fight Junto for undisputed next year. Then he'll vacate. You think he'll hold on to the belts for fighting Nick Paul? I don't see it, but you might be right. You might be right. That'd be a big fight between him and Junto for all those belts, huh? That'll be Junto's fourth weight division, right? Junto's a 3-division world champion. He just hasn't mirrored Naoya Inoue's success in the amount of times, the amount of fights, and the amount of belts. That's all. But he's a great fighter, Junto. I think Junto is a good fighter. He's good. But if you guys got the time, right? Ryoguchi, go watch when Naoya Inoue fought him. If I'm messing the name up, I'm trying to say it the best I can. Go watch that. I think that guy was better than Junto at one point in time. I think Junto hits harder than Ryoguchi, though. I think Junto has the harder punch, but I think Ryoguchi was on the same skill level, the same height as Junto. Watch how Naoya fought him. I'm going to tell you, they went the distance, too. They went the distance. And Ryoguchi at the time, he was like Japan's next big thing. That fight between Naoya Inoue and that man right there, that was who was going to be determined to being Japan's front runner. Their next star. That was like for the Oriental belt and shit. It was between them who was the best Japanese fighter in Japan during that time. That was a legendary fucking fight. And I don't think that Junto is any better. I think he hits harder, but any better than fighters like that. Naoya Inoue's been in there with wars. You got to understand that Naoya Inoue has really been battle tested. What fight has Junto been battle tested in? What fight did his orbital bone get cracked in? And he went 10 more rounds with a broken orbital bone. What fight did Junto get dropped in, come back and knock out the guy and handle adversity? Where has he been tested? Junto. Or has it all been fucking great? He's just levels above the guys he's fighting. Maybe that's why he looks so good. You ever ask yourself that question? When has he fought adversity? When did he get tested? I know Naoya Inoue has. Battle tested. That's why I'm not blind by the nice, shiny new thing. Junto Nakatomi. Respect, it is given. Not only because it was given, he's earned the respect of fighting fans. Junto, he's a phenomenal fighter. That fucking guy is pretty good. Yo, the way he knocked out Andrew Maloney. Oh my God. That shit was brutal. That he showed him no mercy. Naoya wouldn't have did him like that. He would have knocked him out like clean, like he did to his other twin brother, Jason. 2 Japan fighters got knockout of the year on 2 identical twin brothers. Jason Maloney and Andrew Maloney both got knocked out on they were on the opposite end of the award for knockout of the year. They were the victim in both cases, two twin brothers, and they both got knocked out by two separate Japan fighters. Junto knocked out Andrew, and Naoya knocked out Jason. Those are not awards you want to be on the other end, huh? Right? What's up, Mark? What you saying? Mark says, for 300K, I'll step aside. Yo, don't believe that number. It might be 300K. It might just be. You figure Naoya's gonna he's gonna make that standard $6.7 million. He gonna make that, right? That's what he's getting paid in Japan, right? So he going to Vegas now. I don't know what he's gonna make, but Roman Cardenas, he'll get maybe $1 million. Maybe. I don't see them paying him 300K. Roman Cardin. So why would you pay MJ 300K if the guy that's fighting is probably going to get 300K? I don't think Roman Cardin has made 300K in any of his fights. Put it that way. In his entire career. He never got paid $300,000, 300K to fight in a fight. So, and if your last fight, that's what you made, less than that, would you give MJ? You might have gave MJ $75,000 to step aside. Maybe $100,000. Maybe $100,000 to step aside. Now, and that's coming out of Naoya Inoue's purse, not out of Roman Cardin's purse. No, Naoya Inoue's putting that up. His team, his boxing promoters, they're giving the step aside money. So whenever Naoya Inoue was ever in a situation where a guy tried to from my experience with Naoya Inoue, I remember when John Casimero tried to price himself out against Naoya Inoue. What did Naoya Inoue do? He looked at Bob Arum and told him, take money out of my purse and give it to John Casimero just to get the fight going. Give him what he wants. Naoya Inoue took less money just to give it to John, and he's such a fuck up. He got suspended, belt taken, fight never materialized. John fucked that up. But they were going to give John Casimero everything he wanted. Naoya Inoue. So Naoya Inoue is paying for the step aside money. It's coming out of his side. And if you trying to sit here and tell me they gave MJ 300K to step aside, when in the original fight, like the night he fights Naoya Inoue, whenever he gets the opportunity, how much real money you think MJ's worth? 1 point something? Listen, Tank Davis got 3 point something million for fighting Lamont Roach. You actually think that MJ is making Tank Davis money in the bantamweight division? I'm not sure if I need to wake you guys up, but these guys, they're blowing up these prices, to make it seem like these guys are fighting for a lot of money, but they're really not. They're really not. They probably gave him $25,000 to step aside, I bet. And put it out like 300K. Motherfucker, MJ, you didn't make 300K in your last fight. How am I paying you more money to step aside than more money than you've ever made in any of your fights for MJ? Name me a fight MJ made more than 300,000. 300K. I didn't hear about it, but I really don't check down his shit. But since I already know, I've been around boxing for a long time, there's Stephen Kubo Fulton wasn't making millions of dollars. And he was at the 122-pound weight division and he had 2 belts. And he fought Brandon Figueroa. His biggest payday was going to Japan fighting Naoya Inoue. Stephen Kubo Fulton's biggest payday was going to Japan. And what did he get for that? Two something? Gave Marlon MJ $300K. Yeah, who told you that? I don't. That's a lot of money for a bantamweight to step aside. Shit. That's 45% of that dude's pay. If that's true, they gave him 300. Shit, I would have took that too. That for not even fighting, you made more money on a sideline than you ever did in any of your. I might take the 2 paydays. Give me the step aside money, and I'll fight you in December. But you never know if you're gonna get that guaranteed fight. Naoya Inoue can opt and do anything he wants. For instance, Tim Tszyu took that step aside money with Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo told him, yo, here, I'm going to fight Constanza right here. You take the step aside money. I'm going to go fight him, right? Cool. And Tim Tszyu saw it like that too. He said, I'm going to get 2 paydays. I'm going to get this payday, and then I'm going to fight Charlo. Charlo fights him. It's a draw. They got to fight again. So he steps aside again. So he's like, yeah, now I'm really going to get paid because now Jermell Charlo got to fight me. What did Jermell Charlo do? He didn't fight Tim Tszyu, did he? He went and fought Saul Canelo Alvarez. So even though MJ can be thinking, yeah, let me take this step aside money and I'll fight Naoya and I'll get 2 paydays. What happens when Naoya Inoue leaves you standing there with that step aside money and he moves up? You're not guaranteed anything in boxing. Tim Tszyu thought by stepping aside twice to allow Charlo to do that so that when he fights him for all 4 belts. It didn't work out for him. Charlo never fought him. I don't know. Let me read some of y'all messages. Chunto has really got dropped early in his career. Has already got dropped early in his career. Did he? I might have saw that. Just forgetting about it. Did he? He got dropped? Yeah. All right. Naoya made like 40 million for 2 fights last year. It was 35 million from what I don't know if you're right or I'm right, but I heard it was 35 million. He closed out the year with 42 million. He made 35 in 2 fights, and then that Riyadh season, Turkey gave him 9 million or whatever it was, and that whatever the number was, and it got him up to that would have been 7 million. That would have got him up to the 42. 7 and 35 would have been 42. But whatever it was, Naoya Inoue did those numbers, 30 million, 40 million, whatever it is, by himself. Just remember that. He did that by himself. He didn't need Turkey. He didn't need Riyadh season. Just like AJ made all that money last year, and Tyson Fury and Usyk, but they did that with Turki Al-Sheikh, with the backing of Turki Al-Sheikh. Naoya Inoue made that 40 you're talking about by himself in 2 fights. You see, but you got to understand that you can't get the number mixed up, right? For instance, Gervonta Davis was paid 3.5 million to fight Lamont Roach. But Gervonta Davis doesn't walk away with that. Gervonta Davis gets points off pay-per-view. At the end of the day, Gervonta's going to make upwards of $13-18 million from that fight. And he only got, his purse was 3. Naoya Inoue's purse was 6 million after the sales of broadcasting all the Japan and over there that bought the fight, Naoya Inoue gets a percentage off that. That's how he got up to the 35, 40 million mark. But for his fights, you're gonna see, you're gonna be scratching your head. You're gonna be saying to yourself, how is it that they're saying that Naoya Inoue got paid 5 million, $6 million for this fight, which is an outrageous amount of money for a super bantamweight champion? That has never happened in the history of bantamweights. Name me one bantamweight champion that's ever made $6 million as a purse to their fight. I'll be waiting. Put it in the thing because I'm a bit of a historian myself, and if you can educate me with this or help me, please feel free. And I've never seen it, so you might see. Wait a minute, how the fuck 5 and 6? That's 11. Where does 35 million come from? And it comes from the points, from the broadcast of what he sold on the fights. Naoya gets points on that. There's only a few fighters in the world that can do that. There's only a handful of fighters in the world that get points. Not all fighters get points. Ask Lamont Roach. He fought against Tank Davis and he got no points. What did they pay Lamont Roach to fight Tank Davis? Reported $600,000. That's all he got for fighting Tank Davis. Lamont Roach didn't even get paid $1 million. Lamont Roach is fighting Tank Davis in Madison Square Garden in the U.S., not making $1 million. And somebody reported that MJ stepped aside for $300K, that they literally gave three. If you can get $300K, MJ, my man, listen, I might have took that shit. You know what I mean? What's up? Let me start reading all your chats. Marx is going off. A total of $48 million to be the sixth highest paid boxer. Turkey sponsorship money wasn't included for last year. Okay, Naoya Inoue made $40 million for 2 fights last year, so his opponents probably made around $1 million. Pay-per-view Fulton got $5 million all up. Chutu has okay, yep. What's my man saying here, Mark? I think New should fight for the IBO. The problem is the IBO, the European champion, that title. You know, this one, that's the IBO. You know, it's not really that kind of fight that that kind of belt that you want to like go after. You know, to put yourself. I see Juto's situation. You know, all the guys are Japanese fighters, man. You're gonna have to fight your countrymen. I'm sorry. You know, you guys are all good down there, that you guys all became champions, and you know, you guys are gonna have to fight each other. My man got in the ring, saluted Junto, bowed, offered to unify. Junto accepted. It looks like that fight's gonna be put together, but unfortunately, in that kind of situation, Japan's gonna have to fight Japan, and for real world titles. And if you haven't noticed, Naoya Inoue in his entire career has never fought for a secondary belt or the IBO, anything that has to do with being a suspect belt, right? He doesn't tie himself to any of those kind of belts, regulars, like just secondary. Like at one time, the regular WBA is the main belt. Sometimes when I say that, I got to catch myself thinking that you guys are hip to the fact that you guys should already put together what I'm talking about. But I'll explain it sometimes too. And you don't win the super And I don't think they did away with the supers yet. I don't know what's up with the WBA, but the super WBA, you have to start off the regular, defend it. It turns into the super, kind of like the WBO turns into the super after multiple defenses. That's when that white line turns gold. That becomes the super WBO, right? Okay. So sometimes I just speak fast, but you guys, I'm hoping you guys know what I'm saying. Like, Naoya Inoue doesn't fight for secondary belts, real world titles or nothing. So Junto might not, he might want to follow in Naoya Inoue's blueprint or footsteps, so to speak, and not fight for any, you know. Sometimes fighters don't want to tie themselves into that. Then all of a sudden you're a secondary interim belt guy, and your name is David the Monster Benavidez, and you're about to unify all four interim titles at 175. You're gonna have like all four of the interim belts now. Like they're gonna know you. You're gonna be known for the interim belt champion. That's not why I got into boxing for. I didn't get into boxing to be the interim of anything. It's champion or nothing. That's it. And Naoya Inoue, I guess, feels the same way. There's a lot of men like us that feel the same way. I don't want to act like I'm putting down secondary belts because I'm really not. That's my personal choice, and I want you to know. And I'm going to publicly come out and say that I am not putting down the secondary belts. I think that those are fine awards, good achievements, and it depends you as a fighter how far you're willing to go in your career. You might have not been the best fighter, and an interim was where you got to. Does that say you're not? No. Congratulations. You had a piece of a world championship. You can be considered at a certain level a world champion. Yes, you can. At a certain level, yes, you can. You might not have honor status as a complete world champion, but you accomplished some shit. You did something. So I'm not knocking them. My choice that if I ever was to box, I think I would have tried to stay fighting for real world belt titles, like Naoya Inoue is doing. In fact, he won't go for that IBO shit because they're not acknowledging as a world title. But fighters like Demetrius Bivol, he went after the IBO. He came in with the IBO and his belt against Arthur. I believe he brought the IBO and the WBA to the fight. When he won, he had all 5 belts. Now that looked good, didn't it? All 5 of those belts, that looked good. So, some guys are trying to bring up the WBO. Stephen Kubo Fulton was a WBO champion. Yeah, he was. The minute he won that belt, that WBC off of Brandon Figueroa, you no longer seeing the IBO with Fulton. Yeah, the minute he won that belt. Yeah. What's up, Mark? Oh yeah, I read that already. Yeah. No, I haven't read this one. Hold on. It's kind of like bunched up. Naoya fought McDonald for the regular WBA before beating Donaire for the Super WBA. Okay, right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Naoya Inoue had the WBA regular. That's not a secondary belt. That's a real world championship. That regular. What's confusing is that other people use that See, boxing and these belt shits be confusing sometimes, right? Because the WBO also has a regular. You have to be the WBO regular. You have to win WBO super. Same thing, but that doesn't work with the WBC. That doesn't work with the IBF. They don't have a regular champion. See what I'm saying? They have an interim. These two have interim champions. And then their interim champion is also called interim champion. So you got the regular, the super, the interim, and then the WBC, you got the WBC super, you got the WBC interim gold, silver. I don't know if they still do the diamond. I think they did away with the diamonds. I don't think they do the diamond anymore. But I know you got like the youth championship, WBC youth one. You got WBC. WBC got a lot of little belts, minor belts you don't really hear of, but a lot of in those countries they got them. They got like these funny little plaques with like rainbow type shit. You don't see them. Jermaine Ortiz had one. Jermaine, he was carrying it around for a while. And shit like that. But that's why people are mad at the WBA right now. In Box Rec, when you go to there to like look up your favorite fight or whatever you're on there for, whatever fight, it doesn't show none of the WBA titles because now Box Rec is saying that WBA has been doing so much funny shit that they're no longer recognizing their belt as a world championship. Go figure. And they're the original. Without the WBA, none of this shit happens. Just remember that. They are the original belt. They've been around the longest. You would think they would have their shit together. But every belt, every belt has their issues. Every belt has their issues and stuff and their little thing. But everything in life isn't perfect. But when you do get there, what do you do? What do you do when your number is called? That's the important thing. When your time is up, do you take step aside money? Or do you say, no, you step aside. I want my shot at them belts. I'll tell you who you are. I'll tell you exactly who you are. Naoya Inoue's belts, they should be changing in this fight. They should be changing. I can't wait to see him. That WBO he has, that's got 3 title defenses unified on it. Luis Pantera Nari, TJ Doheny, Yi Young Kim. He's got 3. Those belts gotta look nice. I want to see if he tricked out the IBF too, if he sent it in for them to fill out everything. I think Naoya Inoue should be getting a gold WBO title. This one right here, he should. This is the 4th one. This should be turning gold on Naoya Inoue's belt in Las Vegas if he's successful. Yes, it should be. The WBA needs to be tricked out too. He needs to get the big one with the big lions, the super one. The WBA needs to stop giving him that version of the WBA. That's the regular and the interim version of the WBA. The super version, it doesn't have it doesn't strap in the back. It has like these like these like stretches. It's like a girdle, kind of like a girdle. You kind of like slide the belt on like that. The super one, it's like that. It has like the bands. It doesn't Velcro like the regular ones. The super. So that belt needs to change for Naoya Inoue in Vegas. The WBO needs to change. They all need to change, basically. The only one that's gonna stay the same because it changes, but it changes into in a belt entirely. The WBC is gonna be in attendance, right? And they're gonna have their basic regular green one. At some point, there's gonna be somebody at the end of the fight. You're gonna see them, or before the fight, they'll show it. It's all up to them. You're gonna see the commemorative WBC belt that they make for Naoya Inoue to show their appreciation for him being such a dominant champion and wearing their belt. They don't they'll put Naoya Inoue's picture in with all the legends. They'll put his picture in. That's their way of tricking out their belt. But the way they do it, they make you a whole new separate belt. You see them a lot in Saul Canelo Alvarez's fights. They're constantly making him a new commemorative belt. And that belt in May fight that he's having against William Skull there's going to be a commemorative belt, I can guarantee you, from the WBC. So, but since Naoya Inoue has been simultaneously defending all the belts, right? God damn. That WBC and WBO were the first ones he got in the division. He had a title defense against Marlon Tapales. That's got to count. He defended the WBO and the WBC the most. 4 times. 4 times. Yeah, you can't count the fight of Stephen Kubo Fulton because he hasn't won them yet. So once he wins them, the next fight is where you start counting, which is Marlon Tapales. Present date, he only fought 4 times after Stephen Kubo Fulton. He has 5 fights total in the division. Yeah, but that belt has to change. It has to change into a super. He's already past the 3-fight mark. I can't wait to see him. I'm gonna take a close picture if I can of his belts when he's standing there with him. I'm gonna stick around to the end. Like I don't got nowhere to go, nowhere to be out there in Las Vegas. I'm just gonna stick around for as long as I can. I really want to read him what his belts are saying. What you saying down here? Let me see this. Tank's belts at 135 and 140 were regular belts before. Not actually, Mark. No, 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 no. I'm sorry, Mark. But let's talk about it, right? Check it out. Neither the belt at 135, neither the belt at 140 were regular world titles. They weren't. They were both secondary belts. Both of them. The belt that Mario Barrio had, he wasn't world champion. Josh Taylor had all 4 belts at 140. How the fuck does Mario Barrio have the regular WBA world championship if Josh Taylor has all 4 belts at the time? How does Gervonta Davis have that 135 title at 135, a regular belt, if Devin Haney had all 4 belts? You see why they play around with the WBA? Because when it was convenient for them, they want to call their belt, the secondary belt, a regular to confuse you, to make you think. But didn't Edwin just say that the regular is a real world championship? Didn't he just say that? Yes, I did. But these are the kind of games that the WBA is playing. That's why nobody's taking them serious. And they're no longer thinking or saying that their belt is valid. So much, in fact, they took them off Box Rec. Because some of the things that they do. And then the fans were telling them, wait a minute, which one is your real belt? Is it the regular or is it the super? Which one is your. So, what the WBA tried to say was once we have a super champion in the division, he is the real one, and the regular one becomes our interim. We're like, how does that work? So, if the super champion falls, let's say he gets knocked out, you can't win the super one in the ring. No one can. His status as super WBA champion falls. And even though you knocked out the super, you become the regular. You got to defend it and make it the super again. And that's what the WBA was doing. So when they were saying Gervonta Davis had the regular belt at 135, well, wait a minute. How can he have the regular if Devin Haney has all four? Then what does Devin Haney have? Why are we calling it Devin Haney the undisputed champion at 135? There's no argument. He has all four real belts. So one of you are lying. It was Tank Davis. He had the phony baloney. When he fought Mario Barrio wasn't the champion at 140. Josh Taylor had all the belts. That was a phony baloney belt. See? So then when Devin Haney vacated all the belts to fight Regis Progress at 140, that they called Gervonta Tank Davis and said, we're going to upgrade you to the full status. He said, no. He said, the only way I'll allow that is when I fight Frank the Ghost Martin. Once I beat him, now you can consider me the 135 WBA champion of the world. That's when Gervonta Davis finally got that belt he was dragging around for 5+ years, defending it 6 times, that interim belt that was never a world championship. That's why Gervonta Davis, they were lying at the time when they would introduce him. 3-division world champion, Gervonta Davis, right? Right? They were always calling him a 3-division world champion. No sooner that he beat Frank the Ghost Martin, when he fought Lamont Roach, what did they announce him on? Go ahead, go watch the beginning when they announce him. Gervonta Davis, 2-division world champion. How the fuck did you lose a division? Because at the first one, they were lying. They were telling a little white lie. He did have an interim championship. So isn't he a part of a champion? So we're not lying. He was only a 1-division world champion at 130. He had 1 belt. He had 2 belts at 130, different times, not simultaneously. He lost 1 on the scale, went back, got another one, right? Okay. He got the IBF, the WBA. He moves up to 135. He gets that interim belt. But at the time, Vasily was the champion. Vasily fought Teo for the WBO, loses. Teo has 3 belts. He fights George Camboza, loses. Devin Haney had the final piece, which he had the WBA. So where the fuck does Tank Davis fit in with his 135-pound championship belt then? Mind you, all these fighters I just mentioned, they all fought at 135 for all the belts. Teo, Loma, Devin, George Camboza, all those fights took place at 135 while Tank Davis had that 135-pound WBA champion. But Tank's name for the belts was never in the conversation. Tank's never been a champion at 140. He had an interim belt at 140, but that's about it. Mario Barrio was never a champion. Mario Barrio became a champion right now with that WBC because he was even upgraded. Mark, and this is the bullshit about the fucking, unless you know exactly the rule structures and you take your time to find out about these belts, man, this shit can be confusing, can it? But like I said, a lot of people are pissed off with the WBA and their antics. And there was a point in time where we, as the fans, we were like, wait a minute, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. Who the fuck is the champion, bro? There was a point in time where Tank Davis was really calling Devin Haney's belts bullshit. And that his interim belt, he was the real champion at 135. What's stopping the interim champion from being the loudest, the most boisterous, and coming and stealing the spotlight from the real champion? What gives his belt credibility? And the WBA was straight up like switching status from guys, and they weren't even fighting each other just by popularity. They were doing some really shady shit back in them days, WBA. They really were. They were allowing the interim guy to talk his way up to the fucking real belt rather than fight his way up to the belt. It was really confusing at times. You can't win the fucking super in the ring. Once you beat the guy for the super, that super disappears. The guy wins now the regular. You can compete for the regular, but you can't unify as a super. Like, it was getting fucking stupid, bro. It really was, bro. And I remember, was it last year they put out that the WBA that they were cleaning house. They had sent fighters like Javante a letter. Yo, you got to fight Devin, or we're gonna take that belt. There's no more supers. They were claiming that they were gonna do all this shit. They implemented like a weight claw on the WBA too, like the IBF. Um, the wheels started moving for quite some times with the WBA, but I never really got a definitive answer. Their website is set up the exact same rules. I've checked it for I stopped looking. I can't say honestly in the last few months I've checked because they didn't go anywhere. They made all these promises to the fans and to the, oh, we're gonna fix our belt situation. It's not gonna be as complicated. Um, we're gonna fix all this. They didn't. Where are they? They're right back where they started. Basically, I'm as confused as I was when they started changing the rules, and I'm sitting here right now like I don't see anything different. And I think that's why some people are not taking their belt serious anymore. And that's a damn shame because they're the original belt. Without the WBA, man, like I said, I fucking hate all this stupid shit they do with these belts, sanctioning fees, but I can't see boxing without them. I can't. We gotta fight for something. It ain't gonna be no fucking made up tin can fucking bullshit ass belt that Turkey done made. I'm not fighting for that, bro. No champions in the world ever held you that stupid trinket, bro. You see Mike Tyson with that fucking trinket? No, right? I ain't wearing it. No, I don't want to wear it. If I'm fighting, I'm going in there to get my fucking my head punched in. And I'm doing that for a living. Damn it, I better have the same belts Ali had on, Mayweather had on, Manny Pacquiao had on, Saul Canelo Alvarez had on, Naoya Inoue had on. I better get those same damn belts. I want my belts to look different from theirs. Those are the legends. That's what they had. That's what I want. I don't want no 10 made up can freaking unified. Take that shit and rub it on your chest, bro. I don't want that shit. Yeah, I hear you, Mark. Yeah. And everything you're saying, Mark, is right. Even the Tank Davis situation, the way they dressed it up. Um, who they tell that to? To us, the fans. They got no problem. ESPN looking right into that camera, blatantly telling you this. Got you and me arguing inside a fucking on a bar or something. Yeah, no, that's what they said. Blah, blah, blah. Unless you know the ins and outs of it, you can call bullshit. Because it was always bullshit that Tank was a champion until he became one at 135. And still to this day, I'll debate you. I'll debate anyone if you want. It doesn't even have to be a debate. Just it's merely a sentence. What champion has Gervonta Davis fought at 135? I'll wait. Please write his name in the chat. Tell me his name. What champion did he beat for that belt? Where? Like when Teal fought Vasily, Teal beat Vasily for his belts. You go look back in the history books, it's going to say Teofimo Lopez beat Vasily. It's going to say George Camboza beat Teal for his belts. When you look back in history, you're going to say Gervonta Tank Davis beat Fax Machine 3000. Because that's who faxed him over the belt. Whatever fax machine they used in the office to send him the letter to notify him that he's been upgraded, that's who he fought. There's no champion behind that belt's name. And since he's had that belt, what champion has he fought in his weight class? Lamont Roach was a champion. Yeah, 130. What champion have you fought at 135? So, listen, that's not my career. You love Tank Davis, you love him. I like him. He's cool. Okay, he's great for the sport. He's explosive. I expect more from him, right? Okay. But so what? You could like him for your own damn reasons. I'm not telling you not to like him. I'm just pointing out boxing shit so that you're never sidetracked. You could still be his fan, be like, yo, fuck it. Tank never fought a champion. He never said he was going after legacy. He's a prize fighter. He fights for money. I watch him because he's exciting. He wants to fight for the bag. That's on him. But I'm going to still support Tank. Have at it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I will not let you get blindsided. Long as you know and you're still cool with it, you're like, yep, fuck it. Tank don't fight all these guys. All these big guys always want to beat him up. He's trying to fight the fights he fight. He don't belong here anyway. Shit, I give him the benefit of the doubt, and I think he's amazing. You are 100% in your right for thinking that. Nothing wrong with that. But I won't let you get blindsided. I'm not going to have you arguing with somebody and then saying, oh, this. No. If you come here, we're gonna talk this out. We'll sort through it. You know? Oh, my favorite is Naoya Inoue, but I still like Tank. I'm with you, Mark. I like Tank Davis, man. Fucking like him. I think he's amazing. I think he's great for the sport. Aside all the controversy and not really fighting the greatest of greatest names, he still does his job. And what I expect as a fan of boxing, I want oohs. I want blood. I want knockouts. I can't lie. I love that shit. And Tank's giving us that. So I like him. I like Tank. I like Tank a lot. Um, I just got to the point where that I was arguing with so many people about defending his because I really think he's a skilled fighter. And they say, yeah, you think he's a skilled fighter, but he didn't fight anybody really that skilled. And I'm like, that's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. Because Yuri Gamboa was fighting him. Leo Santa Cruz was fighting him. Mario Barrio was fighting Javante. Okay? He was in some good fights. All right? So I don't want to hear that shit. And he knocked them boys out. So I'm like, so he got me pissed off because at some point I gotta calm down as a fan, right? I gotta learn how to be a better reporter. And that's what I started doing. So in the last few years, I try to like always talk the good, the bad, and the ugly type shit. But if you hear me long enough, you'll hear me speak about some issues and I'll bring back positive issues and I'll let you decide for yourself where you stand, with the fighter. And as far as Javante Tank Davis situation goes, I kept pushing my views onto him. I kept saying, and I wasn't hearing what he was saying throughout his entire career. Meaning, when he went to, they offered him a fight with George Camboza. He yells back to George Camboza, vacate all three of those belts and I'll fight you. At that time, Tank was saying belts don't matter. Right? And as his career went on and I saw he didn't fight for all these belts, I had to go back and look at all the years Tank was looking right into the camera and telling us belts don't matter. He was basically telling us he was a prize fighter. He had a different vision for the sport. He wanted to be able, after the sport, that there's life after boxing. That after boxing, he still has his senses and he didn't go in there and get his brain punched in. He's still going to be able to remember and have conversations after boxing. You're going to be fairly young still. And there are fighters that understand that taking these risky, dangerous fights and going in there and pushing your body over the limits, black eye closing, broken nose, fractured orbital bones, those kind of fights take years off your life. And you can see it in some of the boxers. I see Devin Haney stuttering all the time. And he's young. He's young as hell. He's always and then we're going to fight Ryan. And yeah, it was a good fight. And then you can already hear it. You can hear it in Floyd. You see it in Tyson. You see it in a lot of the fighters that they did fairly good. So they in public, but we all know where that ends up. So Tank Davis, my problem was that I keep pushing my expectations of what I think his career should be and who he should fight for legacy and to beat these other champions when I don't think he ever wanted that. He was going to get in, get out, get the money, and move on to bigger and better things. And that's where I made the mistake with Tank. It's not that Tank Davis is scared of anybody or he's a bitch or anything like that. It's not. Tank Davis has a plan. He's going to fight what he's going to fight, get in, get out. Fuck all this legend fight, all these hard fought fights, fighting the best after the best. All that gets you is the fans, a whole bunch of excitement, and you paying the price for the rest of your life. Some of these men die in the ring trying to fight those kind of fights. Did you see that Japanese fight on the Naoya Inoue undercard? Those two Japanese men for $100,000 in the Covenant Naoya Inoue trophy that was on the line that night. Those men punched their brains out and one man fatally died for $100,000 in a trophy that said the Naoya. You know how they're making the Muhammad Ali? Well, they're making the Naoya Inoue trophy while he's a fucking active fighter. Them men punched their brains in for that trophy. So Tank, that's why I don't turn my back on Tank. you know, um, I'm just like, yeah, man. Tank's in it for the bread. He ain't fighting the Shakurs of the world. He ain't fighting the TOs. He ain't doing none of that shit. Tank is like, fuck that. I want to be able to still spell my name after fighting. And that was my only fault with him. My expectations weren't of his own. And I think as a fan, that's where I kind of let Tank Davis down as a fan because I just wasn't listening to him. I was listening to everybody else projecting like, Tank, you need to do it. Everybody's saying this shit, Tank. And Tank's looking at me like, fuck all of them. I'm doing it for me, you know? Yeah, he fell into a coma, man. And 4 or 5 days later, I think it was, he died. That was the fight mark right there. Yeah. A lot of these fighters, man. And then that's why when I step back and I look and I evaluate Tank's situation, I just be like, you know what, Tank? You right, kid. I apologize. I thought you was like ducking these dudes or like, nah, I just wasn't listening to Tank. I just wasn't listening. He was telling me the whole time. He was telling all of us the whole time, his whole career. He never lied. Never. It's we that projected all this. When arguments, no, he'll beat him, nah, 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 nah. Then all of a sudden, it's like Tank standing there like, I never said any of this shit. I never told none of y'all I was going after these belts. I said I had a hit list. I was gonna do this, do this. Sometimes shit don't happen. You got two guys, one guy pulls out, this guy does this. All of a sudden, I'm fighting Lamont Roach. You know, a lot of people gave him criticism for that fight with Lamont Roach, and I said, yo, the only reason why Lamont Roach fought him that great is because he was his sparring partner and he knew Tank better than most people knew him. Shakur's not going to look like that against Tank. Lamont knew the when and where. He knew Tank's mannerisms from weeks on weeks and months of sparring Tank over and over and over again. That when he actually went to fight Tank, Tank knew it. He was going to give him problems because Lamont gave him good work in sparring day in, day out. That's why he kept calling him back because Lamont Roach was a great sparring partner. But Lamont Roach learned a thing or two from Tank. And he knows when to step in and to hit him with that short shot on the inside. And Lamont took advantage of all of that. Just like when you saw Jermaine Ortiz fighting against Teal. See, I'm on this side in Massachusetts. I know Jermaine Ortiz personally. And I know that Jermaine was sparring with Loma for over 3 years before they came into their fight. That's why Jermaine looked that good against Loma, and he was giving Loma fits. And everybody was like, oh shit, Loma lost a step. No, he's real familiar with him. Then Loma went on to have a legendary performance against Devin Haney and George Camboza. And no, Loma looks great. He looks back. But against Jermaine, he looked like shit. Yeah. You play that video game enough, you're going to fucking master it, ain't you? That's why Lamont Roach looked like that against Tank. No other fighter is going to look like that against Tank because no other fighter got that kind of experience fighting Tank day in, day out like Lamont did. They try to feed you this shit like Lamont only fought him in the amateurs, which was bullshit. Yeah, they fought in the amateur. That's true. That's true. But why don't you talk about all the time Tank Davis sparred him, preparing leading into other fights? He used Lamont Roach. And that's why Lamont looked that good against him. It wasn't that Tank sucks. It wasn't that Lamont Roach became a superior fighter overnight. No, because Lamont Roach is not a big puncher at 130. Lamont Roach is not He was never that guy, bro. All of a sudden, he gave you the impression, oh, he can hang with Tank. He can hang with any of the 135 pounders. You're gonna get Lamont fucked up. Lamont's gonna go in there thinking, yeah, I got this against Shakur, and get outclassed bad. He don't belong here. He don't belong at 135. Go back down to 130, puppy. Now, Tank and him are gonna fight, I guess, in June. They're gonna run it back quick. I kind of see it being the same fight over again. The same exact fight. Tank's just gonna have a little bit more pressure, and it's possible Tank can catch up to him. All this shit that Lamont Roach hurt Tank Davis, you saw Tank wobbled. Another situation where the untrained eye, just looking at it, looks bad. Lamont snaps out, pop, Tank wobbles back. Oh shit, he hurt Tank Davis. Okay. When you go back and you watch the fight and you break it down, Lamont Roach had help. If Tank Davis's footwork wasn't that fucking garbage, and he wasn't out of position, and he didn't cross both his feet like this, right? Go back and watch the fight. Tank's feet, he was like this, right? His legs were spread. He was like that. When he threw the punch, he ends up like this, in the pocket, standing in front of Lamont Roach. Now, I want you just to stand up and just have somebody push you. Push your shoulder. You have no balance. It wouldn't have took very much for Lamont Roach to go snap and Javante, being out of balance, wobble. And it would have really looked like he hurt Tank Davis. And what I'm saying to you guys is, I don't think he was just hurt, is what it looked like. He was 100% out of position. His feet were fucking, he was like a T. He was just like that in front of my Roach. And all you had to do was go like that to Tank. He would have stumbled back. It's giving you guys this false impression that Lamont Roach is him. Talk to me after June. If he fights, we'll have a conversation then. What do I know? We'll see. We'll see. Well, he's got to get past 126 first, my man, right? Yo, Joseph, chill. Joseph done talked up Naoya Inoue to 130 already, all right? Jeremiah, listen. He done talked him all the way up to 130. If you let him tell it, Naoya fighting the 130 pounds, just calm down, chill. We got to get past 126 first, right? A little exciting there, huh? Yeah, that's the difference. Naoya Inoue fights for a challenge and legacy. You heard Naoya Inoue talk about that, right? Naoya Inoue said, they said to him, hey, Naoya Inoue, why don't you take any tune-up fights or fight any low-grade fights? Naoya Inoue said, I can't do it. I need maximum motivation for the fight. I got to know that the fight means something. He said, I need to know that this guy is a worthy opponent, a challenger. He said, I can't fight bullshit fights, man. I hate that shit. Naoya Inoue, he's not built like that. He's got to fight the toughest after the toughest after the toughest. And that's how he rolls. Well, look, guys. You guys are talking about Eduardo, right? Eduardo Naves there, right? Okay. I've seen guys. We seen champions rock 100% knockout ratio, leading up to a world title and after had completing the world championship, defend the belt and successfully knock out everyone they fought against. Move up one weight division and get destroyed. That doesn't translate to victory. Eduardo doesn't convince me that that's enough. That's not enough. It's not enough. Arthur Benavidez was rocking 100% knockout ratio in title fights, leading all the way up into the Demetrius Bivol fight. Then went 12 rounds and then lost his belts. All 100% knockout ratio. Came in there against a good boxer, lost the first one. Well, I mean, he won the first one and then ended up losing the second one to him. So it's not always that recipe. Eduardo there is going to say that he's going to beat Naoya Inoue. I'm not sure about that. I think Naoya Inoue got enough skill to hang with any of the guys from 122 to 135 to 135. He can hang with all the guys down, like the top 10, top 15 down from 135. Naoya Inoue, I'll put him against any of that. The top 15 and up from 135, I think I got to see that shit. I would have to see that shit. But I wouldn't be scared to put Naoya Inoue against Lamont Roach, say, at 130. I'll put Naoya Inoue against Lamont Roach at 130. Hell yeah, I would. And I'll put him against any of the 126 pounders now that I saw that shit. Yeah. I'm like, okay. But I think that he beats everybody from where I said. I think that's where his ceiling is. Now, if we're talking about the top 135 pounders, that's where shit gets a little bit. I think they might be a little bit too big for Naoya. I'm not sure if he can fight Shakur at 135. I wouldn't be afraid to put him in with Tank. No more. Nah, not with Tank. I would welcome that fight with Tank and Naoya Inoue. I think that would be an awesome fucking fight, man. That would be like the fight of the century there. Yeah, that would be stupid. That fight would be stupid. It would defy logic. I'd have to go to that fight, right? Um, but I'm not sure if Naoya Inoue can fight like the bigger ones, like the Keyshawn Davises of the world. Nah, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. But the lower guys, the 130, the lower, like, yeah, I think so. I think so. But at 130, yeah. Now at 130 right now, right? The IBF is vacant. Lamont Roach is the WBA, right? O'Shaughnessy Foster is the WBC, and Emmanuel Navarrete is the WBO. Which Emmanuel Navarrete got a fight scheduled to defend his WBO title against the undefeated champion there. I mean, the undefeated challenger, which is the guy that you guys are talking about, Eduardo. And I think Navarrete might lose that belt against him. That's going to be scheduled for what, May 29th? Navarrete's going to fight him. He's going to put up that belt at 130. But every time I said Navarrete was going to lose the fight, he always wins the fight. I had Navarrete counted out in so many different fights. I didn't think he was gonna stay world champion for a long time. Not with those skills. And boy, he's proven me wrong. So every time I went against Navarrete, I gotta be honest. Every time I went against him, somehow he fucking wins the fights. So um what's his name there? It's Eduardo Naves and then Eduardo Hernandez. Two different fighters, same weight division, 130, right? Right? Right, guys? So both of them are number ones. Either way, fighter Eduardo, I think Emmanuel Navarrete's gonna lose. Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, Leo. Yeah. Okay. You know, good. Those are good fight cards. Good fight cards. Um, Definitely promising. Tuning in to watch that stuff. Absolutely. Um, where? What was I gonna look up? I was gonna look up somebody. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right. I wanted to see back down. Get come back down to earth with me. You know what I'm saying? Let's at least get down to 126 with Naoya Inoue. Not so far up 130, right? Come back down, come back down, come back down. Right? Because interesting enough, we're gonna have a situation at 126 where Bruce Carrington wants to start challenging for the belt. He is the number one to Stephen Kubo Fulton's newly acquired WBC World Championship at 126. So there are fighters that are going to be, you know, I felt like Nick Ball could have fought some of the number one contenders rather than fighting TJ Doheny. And perhaps um Price Price would have been a good fight for him. I would have took that fight. I would have took I would of course I would have took the Bruce Carrington. Nick Ball, Bruce Carrington. Of course I would have took that rather than the TJ Doheny fight. This is what I'm saying. Right? I just, there was just plenty of people there. I don't think that if my memory serves me correctly, I don't think that their fight plans were on schedule though. But they were all Arnando there. What's his name? Arnando. He's there in the division too. So, or he even could have fought. He could have fought Luis Nari at 126. He should have took Luis Nari rather than taking, and it would have been a better fight for Nick Ball stylistically. Stylistically, he was gonna have Luis Nari, which is a come pressure fighter, rather than having old man TJ Doheny sit on the back foot and counter your ass all night and just evade your punches. At least Luis Pantera Nari, I think, would have got in an exchange with Nick Ball. It would have looked better for him. I would have picked a better, but no one really thought that TJ Doheny was going to make him look stupid like that. He really exposed Nick Ball. He really did. Um, I should pull some stuff up here. It's fucking amazing. how Sam Goodman is keeping this number one spot for the IBF. The IBF, see, he took all the heat for pulling out for the WBO title because he was the number one for the WBO and the number one for the IBF. So I guess he took all the heat on the WBO side and remained the IBF champion. And just like Alan Picasso, that was supposed to fight Naoya Inoue, he's opting to the fact. See, Alan David Picasso, MJ, Sam Goodman, uh, I wouldn't say John Casamaro so much, but all of those guys are basically waiting for Naoya Inoue to leave the division in order to fight for the belts. They don't want to fight Naoya Inoue. They rather wait him out. They're sitting back trying to keep their status or where they're at, so that when Naoya Inoue vacates the belts, that they'll have the first cracks at the belts. Basically, what they're trying to do is manage their career and juggle around Naoya Inoue by avoiding him, because the rumors and the writings is on the wall. Bob Arum, everybody, Turkey, they're all talking like Nick Ball in December type shit was supposed to be the end result for Naoya Inoue fighting MJ in September, I guess, August or whatever. So because now his fight is in May rather than June. See, it was going to be in June a little bit later, but now they're taking that month back that Sam Goodman's team did to Naoya Inoue. So that's where that's going. And I think that they're all going to wait him out. They're going to wait until he leaves to 126. And they're all going to catch their breath. Oh my God. Did the monster leave? Is he gone? Is he gone? Yeah, he better leave. He better leave, because if Naoya Inoue comes around here, yo, he turned around. Oh, shit. Oh, did he leave again? Yeah, well, let him go. And they don't want to fight him. Round one, we talking about the vacant IBF at 130 with yeah, we are. That's uh I gotta pull it up. If you want me to, I will. But the IBF 130 is vacant. I know that. Lamont Roach is a champion. Um uh Navarrete is the WBO. And then Shakur Foster, that he just won it back from Conceição. Those are the three champions. Yeah. So now they're fighting for the vacant one. But which is a good point that you bring up, right? Because there's also another interesting topic which we were talking about. I was talking about on my show, right? That when you fight for a vacant world title, you fought somebody for that belt. So when we go back in history and we look, yes, it was a vacant world championship, but you both entered as equal opportunists to win that belt. So you actually fought somebody to win that belt. You might have not fought a world champion. Coming into the fight, he was the world champion. You beat him type shit. You beat a world champion. In this situation, the belt's vacant, and we both have an opportunity for one of us to walk away as champion. But in Gervonta Davis's situation, that's not what occurred. He didn't fight anybody for that championship. He already had the interim. He was elevated. He was sent out a fax machine letter, said, "Dear Mr. Gervonta Tank Davis, you are now the newly super WBA champion or regular," whatever they said, however they worded it. But they informed him that he was being elevated. He didn't fight a guy with a vacant belt, and he didn't fight a champion. See, that's different scenarios. That's why I couldn't call him a champion under that pretense. Where that, remember when Vasily vacated, threw his belt in the trash not to fight Devin Haney at 19 years old, and they made him the franchise, and he went off to fight Tio. Then Devin Haney was upgraded. Then he fights Lonara, right, and beats the shit out of him. But Devin Haney defended that belt. He went on to defend it and fought former world champions. So that solidified Devin Haney's claim to the WBC that he was in fact criticized for being an email champion by the very statement that Gervonta Davis made once upon a time about him. That's why Gervonta couldn't accept it, because he had trashed freaking Devin Haney's whole career with one sentence. And he couldn't look like, wait a minute, now look, oh and behold, they're giving you email champions. Look who's accepting them. That's what was going to happen. So Gervonta opted out until the night he fought Frank the Ghost Martin. After the fight, he accepted it. It was the best way you could accept it, in my opinion. Yes, but you still didn't fight a champion. But I'd rather go out like that than them faxing it to me, because you didn't fight anybody for no interim, or vacated or champ. So yeah. Yes. Yes, he did. Yes, Edwin. Tank fought Gamboa for the vacant regular WBA champion. Yes. I couldn't say anything about that. He actually fought somebody for that. But that's at 130. He fought Yuri Gamboa at 130, 130 pounds. I never said anything about the 130 pound. I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. Right? Here. Gervonta Davis, right here. Gervonta Davis, 30-29. When did he fight Yuri Gamboa? He fought him. I can put it on the screen for all of you to see if you want to. No, he didn't. He fought him at 135. And it wouldn't have it here on Box Rec because they don't honor the WBA titles. That's why it's not here. He fought Ricardo Narvaez at 130. That's who he fought at 130. That was his previous fight. His next fight, he fought Yuri Gamboa. Hold up. I'm going to share the screen with you. Hold up. All right. This is Gervonta Davis right here. Right? All right. Look. Gervonta Davis. Right? Gamboa, 130 pounds, 34.5 pounds. The fight before that, he fought at 130. That's when he was making the transition from 130 to 130 or 135. See, just before that, he was just fighting 129, 129, 129 and a half. Then he fought Yuri Gamboa at 130, 134 and a half. That's when he fought him for that. That's who he beat for that WBA. I'm going to call it an interim belt. It was supposed to be the WBA regular, right? Because at this time, notice the date, 2019. Notice that. Who is the WBA champion at 135 pounds? 2019. I'll give you a hint. He comes from the Ukraine. They're Russian. He won 2 gold medals. I'll give you a hint. Have you figured it out? That was the real 135-pound champion at the time. He didn't have that belt he got from Yuri Gamboa. Wasn't a real 135-pound title. Why? Okay, check it out. Check this out, guys. Watch it in real time. Right after this fight, Yuri Gamboa, who's he fight? Leo Santa Cruz at 130 pounds. He goes back up at 140 and fights Mario Barrio, which in fact, in this fight, it doesn't have it here, but the WBA regular was on the line. Remarkably, look at the time, 2021, 626. During that time, Josh Taylor was the unified, undisputed world champion at 140. He had all 4 belts. How the fuck does Mario Barrio have the same belt that Josh Taylor has? See the confusion that this fuckery shit that the WBA is doing? They're saying that if you got the super, you can't lose that in the ring. And that the WBA becomes, where in the sport of boxing, you 2 fighters can occupy the same belt and be awarded the same status. How does that work? How do 2 people, both of you are walking around saying you're the champion, and both of you are legit by the WBA standard? No, that's bullshit. One of you got to be the real champion, and the other one got to be the interim champion. You both can't be real and being credit for real champion in the same weight division with the same goddamn belt. That doesn't work that way. So let's break it down. So he goes on and he defends this WBA 135-pound championship against Isa Pitbull Cruz, against Rolly, against Hector, and against Ryan. At this point in time, Tank Davis has this mysterious WBA World Championship at 135 that he's been hauling it around, right? This whole time. Okay. But remarkably, let's look at the dates, people. 2021. What are you talking about? 2021, Devin Haney had all 4 belts. At what point did Tank Davis get the belt? Rolly didn't have a belt. Hector Luis Garcia was the 130-pound champion, and Ryan Garcia has never fought for a world title. And Frank the Ghost Martin has never fought for a world title. So where did he beat? When did he beat Devin Haney for that belt? When? He's been carrying around that interim secondary belt, that regular that they want to try to convince you that it's something when it's really not. Ryan Garcia still suspended. Let's go all the way down. You can do this quick. Devin Haney, bam. Hey, Devin Haney, how you doing? 31-15, no losses. No losses. I thought I saw you get your anyway. Anyway. right? Let's get right down to business. Okay, wait a minute. So at the time, Vasily, it's not going to show the WBA championship, but I could estimate. I can estimate if Teofimo Lopez fought him, the WBA championship needs to be here. It's not here. But the date, this is what I wanted to see. The date Teofimo, Vasily was the champion. 2020, 10-17. He fought Teofimo Lopez for unification, which Teofimo Lopez was the WBO. And Vasily had the IBF. Vasily had the IBF, the WBA, and the Ringside Magazine. And he was franchised with the WBC at the time that he came in to fight the fight with Teofimo Lopez is right here. Okay? So Teofimo Lopez beat him on this date, 2020, 10-17, right? Then Teofimo Lopez, right here, goes on to lose the belts to George Camboza, 2021, 11-26. The WBA championship was in attendance on that fight. How the hell is Gervonta Davis the 135-pound champion? I'm showing you in real time, right here, who had the belts during that time. The dates. Look at the dates. We tracked it all the way down. Gervonta was never the champion there until he fought Frank the Ghost Martin on that night. And that was it. Hold up. Who's this? Okay, no, that must be Devin Haney. That's Ryan Garcia. This is Frank. This is Tank's resume. He didn't become the official WBA championship until 2024, 6/15, June 15th, when he fought Frank the Ghost Martin. Before that, Tank Davis was coming off his fight with Ryan Garcia. In between the Ryan Garcia and the Frank the Ghost Martin fight, Devin Haney went up to fight Regis Progress at this time. He vacated all the belts, and then they tried to upgrade Tank Davis. That's what happened. But Tank was never, ever the real champion in those weight divisions. They dressed him up like one, and the fucking WBA, they went along with the whole story. They're real assholes for that because it causes confusion. Unless you can really break it down and you know your boxing, that if you didn't know what took place, what do you see? You see Gervonta Davis get in the ring with a fucking belt. It's right there. It's right around. I know what I'm looking at. And it's very confusing. And that's why a lot of these boxing records, the WBA is legitimately trying to write down in history that Tank and Devin Haney were champions simultaneously with the same belt. And they're going to be awarded championship status for the same belt in the same era in the same weight division. Who was the real champion? You can't do that. One of your belts was phony baloney, bro. There can only be one champion, bro. You don't share a championship. Yeah, so Tank never had an era since the 130 where he came into either 135, 140 and solidified real world championships. It just hasn't happened yet. He does have the one at 135. I just wish he would fight someone else, but Tank tried to tell me, wasn't listening to him. Edwin, what? Don't give a fuck about them belts. Huh, Tank? Why don't you fight Shakur for it? I've been trying to tell you. I'm a prize fighter. I'm like, oh shit. All right. Cool. Cool. I got you. So fight fans, thank you for tuning in today. Have an amazing episode. Mark, everybody that tuned in. Naoya entire what? The WBSS as regular WBA champ, but Ryan was the real super WBA champion. But anyway, still contended as a champion. Well, that's just like saying the NBO whatever, the belt that the PBC has. We're gonna consider that belt a real world championship too. Yeah. And the thing is that in real life in boxing, it's hard enough to get these guys to sign up to fight you. It's hard to get all four real champions to sign up to put up like that because not everybody wants to stop being champion. You know, Rolly, I didn't expect him to move up and unify undisputed status, multiple divisions. I think a fighter like Rolly Romero was lucky to be in the place that he was in. So some of these men and women get there and, you know, you might not like it, but they might have an extensive career where they were champion for 4 or 5 years and they got to experience what it was like living as a world champion rather than getting there and signing up to fight Gervonta Davis right after you win your world title because you might not be champion no longer after that. So those are those dangerous fights and stuff like that. So I get it. I get it. And a lot of this shit is very confusing at times, but I still think that, yeah. All right, fight fans. Listen, guys. Um, love yourselves. I hope you got something out of this episode. Please give the videos a like, subscribe to the channel, and like always, I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One